Three, two, one. Hey, what's up, Capers? Thought Junkie here from Capes Eat Free. Next to me I have
Chad, the resident movie nerd.
Chris, the Film School Dropout.
Ryan, the collector.
the Collector. Why is there a after Film School Dropout, huh? You don't know your identity yet? We're like 3 shows in.
No,
What's going on?
No, I just it's the emphasis. You have to get that big dramatic pause.
Gotcha.
Boom. That's
Very
why.
cinematic. All right. Are you sure you dropped out of film school?
I dropped out a film. I did actually finish film school, but I did drop out of a film school. So the name still applies, but you know.
Was it one of those online classes? Like from an online institution like Arizona
No,
University?
it was a
of
very
Phoenix.
expensive institution that I couldn't afford after. So yeah,
It was through Craigslist.
no, we call those back pages, but no, this is a real school. This is a real school.
We don't talk about back pages. The government doesn't allow that anymore.
So, you're the resident film nerd. Film School Dropout. What are you drinking there?
Oh, we're having a beer called LA Calling, Keller beer or BR. I don't know. The beer is spelled with the BIER, so I don't know if it's pronounced differently when it's spelled like that. But you know,
From the Concrete Jungle Brewing Project out of Ventura, California. And Martin, why did you pick this one out?
I saw a big. I went to Verdome Liquors this morning before. That's where I usually get the beer that we're going to be presenting in the podcast.
they were a very eclectic selection there.
They do have a great collection. And then I saw this big mouth on it and with a megaphone, and it reminded me of Jack Nicholson's Joker, who we're going to be viewing today in our podcast of what film?
Batman. 1989, the first one. Michael Keaton.
Yes, and Collector, you have some fun stuff to show us today, don't you?
Okay, I do, and I look forward to going into. So I brought 2 things to show you guys today, and unlike where I tend to maybe bring something a little more expensive, that's not the case this time. But they are very special items. So the first one, in 1974, DC decided to make the first ever reprint of the big books from the original day, the first appearances. So what this is, it's called a Famous First Edition. It's from 1974. It's a enlarged version of the first appearance of Batman from Detective Comics 27. And interesting story about this book is when it came out in 74, a lot of people were trying to use it to essentially fake first appearance of Batmans and sell them for big money. So you had to be really careful back then, because what they would do is this is essentially, this first part is an overlap, this gray area in black. Yeah. They would detach that, take it out, and use the inside, but it's much bigger than the actual first appearance. So if you know what you're doing, you know this is not the first appearance of Batman. You know it's a reprint from 74, but people were trying to take advantage of people back then. I guess you could say the grading companies have helped with, and just time in general, but the grading companies have helped with that not happening anymore. So that is the first item, and it's an exact replica. So you get everything from the original book, which is really cool. The ads, the stories, not just the Batman stories. So yeah.
How much is this worth now?
I bought this for $75.
Oh wow!
So,
okay.
So it's not like $1.
A lot cheaper than getting the actual one. So.
Yeah. Well, the let's see, a coverless copy missing the centerfold, which is the middle wrap, just sold for about $42,000 at auction, and it was a ratty copy. It had tape all over it, other slightly brittle pages. So
Did Bruce Wayne buy that? What the hell? Did Bruce Wayne buy that?
Bruce Wayne did buy that. Yeah, he has the money for it.
What's worth more? Action Comics number one or Detective Comics?
Tell you before you even ask.
Okay, you knew where I was going.
Action Comics number one is the preeminent book, but Detective Comics 27 comes in a relatively close second.
Weren't they both from? Is it about the same year? 39.
So Action 1 was June of 38. Detective came out in early mid 39.
Okay, so close.
A little later.
Gotcha.
But both from DC Comics. So you had Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel create the first Superman appearance. and you had Bob Kane and Bill Finger create the first Detective Comics, although there's a lot of controversy. There was a documentary about Bill Finger. Bob Kane really never gave Bill his due. So
we see a lot of that. The more I talk to you, the more I realize how people should have gotten credited, but they didn't.
That happens a lot. But Bob definitely has gone down as being the worst. At least with Stan Lee later on, he's acknowledged Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. He's publicly made comments saying how he knew they really contributed a lot. With Bob Kane, Bill Finger died a penniless, poor soul. And he gave so much. The Batman that we've come to know and love was because of Bill Finger, not because really of Bob Kane, to be honest.
But that, I think we talked about this during Batman Begins a little bit, our recording. It was only recently that Bill Finger got that recognition. So when we watch this movie today from 1989, there will be no mention of Bill Finger in the credits. Yeah.
So the second thing I brought, and this is going to be really quick, but this is something that's really near and dear to my heart. I grew up watching the Batman 1992 animated series, and it was a dream of mine to someday meet the voice behind Batman, Kevin Conroy, who I really consider more Batman than anyone else. Listening to his voice it's otherworldly, and I finally got to meet him at a convention as well as some other people. Ooh. So what I got here is, this is essentially the cover to Batman Animated Adventures number 12, the first appearance of Harley Quinn ever in a comic book. But I got some other signatures on it. So I met Kevin Conroy. He's right here. I got his signature. I got the woman who does the voice for Poison Ivy, and only for a little while, not often, but her name's Diane Pershing.
Nice.
And then I got Lauren Lester, who did the voice for the original Robin and Nightwing. And then I got an interesting signature. Her name's Andrea Romano. She was actually the casting director for 85 episodes, and let me just tell you, casting director, you tend to think like they just casted it. She was the person giving the direction behind the voices. So
wow,
it's a cool piece. I'm gonna get more signatures when I can of like Arlene Sorkin, who was the original Harley Quinn, and anyone else that I can. I want to really get this just signatured out as much as I can, because it's just
Mark Hamill.
Oh, I got to get Mark Hamill at some point. Yeah,
I know he's the Joker.
So this is a special piece for me, and I just want to show it.
Very cool.
That's great, man. That looks really cool. That's no, you put that away. So that Batman cartoon is so iconic, and I didn't even realize that the score for the Batman animated series in '92 was taken from this movie that we're about to watch.
Yep. I know there was a little bit of contention in a previous podcast about that, but only for a short while. It was a great decision because it represents that opening theme to the Batman animated series so perfectly. It's just so amazing. So,
I think you guys can already guess how many episodes of the Batman animated series I've seen.
How many have you seen?
None, actually. Same with X-Men. Same with I know.
That is going to get taken care of, podcast capers, because I have brought Chad the entire series.
No. Hold on. You didn't bring it to Chad. Who really wanted to watch it?
Well, more Maggie, I guess.
Yeah, my wife. Yeah,
but still,
it's okay. I'll catch
some.
Give
the credit to Maggie.
She'll make him watch it.
Okay, Maggie deserves credit. Chad's wife Maggie, she wanted it, but I brought it for the moon. So
I'll check it out.
Anyway,
two more quick things before we get started. I'm happy as we're recording this. It's about a week away from the release date, but we are releasing this actually on Batman Day, which also happens to be the day that that whole streaming service is going to be released.
Oh, DC Universe.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, man. That's
hitting
be so
today.
Fun.
Today.
It's hitting today, yeah.
Yeah.
We just time traveled. I was confused.
When you're listening to this, it will have happened a week ago.
I'm speaking fourth dimensionally, okay? So.
And the one thing I wanted to really quickly, I want to give a shout out to one of our biggest fans the last few weeks, Mr. Chris Nelson. You've listened to all of our podcasts and gave us some great feedback, so thank you so much for that.
Chris Nelson.
We raise our LA calling to you.
Thank you,
LA calling
thank
to
you,
Chris Nelson.
To Chris Nelson.
All right, you guys, anything else before we get started?
No, looking forward to this one. This is a good one. Good old-fashioned Tim Burton fun.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Batman. I'm Batman.
Go.
Starts right with the iconic Danny Elfman score.
Oh, that's
right
song,
away.
yeah.
Oh, it's so good,
Gets
so
me every
iconic.
time.
I got a bat boner.
That's nice.
Now everyone knows.
We shouldn't sit so close.
Yeah, can you move a little to my
Jack
way?
Nicholson. Man,
Jack Nicholson.
how much money
His
did
name
he
goes
make?
first.
60 million off the box office.
Whoa, Chris just pointed out his name goes first, not Batman's. That's
He's
crazy.
over Michael Keaton. He was the bigger star at this point.
I know, but
yeah,
still.
he held the record for many years for highest paycheck for a movie after this.
The name of the movie is
I
Batman
know.
played by Michael Keaton. It's crazy.
That wouldn't happen again until Batman and Robin Schwarzenegger was credited first.
Wow.
Really?
Yes,
Really?
over Clooney? Was it Clooney in Batman
Yes,
and
it was
Robin?
Clooney.
Yeah.
And,
I gotta be honest, I have a tough time even talking right now because this opening, it hits me right in my soul.
It's great.
It does.
Robert Wall.
Who
I remember he was
does he play? Robert Wool.
He's
This reminded me
the
of-
reporter. He's the reporter.
He's a reporter, right?
This
No,
reminds me of
Billy
when I was a
D.
kid.
Billy D. Williams.
When I was a little
that's
kid,
Harvey Dent.
I used to come home and just sit in front of the television, just hit play. As soon as this score came on,
Yeah.
I felt like I was a god.
It really captures you right away. And Danny Elfman, just one of his
killed
many
it.
memorable contributions and collaborations with Tim Burton.
Yep. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Did he do Edward Scissorhands? Danny Elfman or not?
Possibly because he
That was
did.
Tim Burton, though.
He did. Yeah, there he is, Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
I mean, he did Beetlejuice, which was right
Okay.
before this too.
I know-
Prince.
I know-
There's
I know-
Prince.
Prince,
credit.
though.
I know
This is-
directors and a lot of the crew. I know but especially maybe the music, what's it called again? The person who does the music.
Composer.
I know they tend to stick together.
Yeah, a lot of times they do. Yeah.
But no, this is amazing.
I find myself as I get older more and more excited about looking at the credits as something plays. As a kid, it was cool because you saw it, but you didn't understand it.
Well,
but now,
yeah, we've talked about this. We all work in the industry. We understand things now. We know our film history and stuff. So it's
And actually seeing like some of the credits on some of the older movies like this one, you kind of forget some of the smaller players in it.
Yeah.
Like if you haven't seen this in a while, you're not thinking about Harvey Dent being Billy D.
Two-Face.
Williams.
Or Billy, sorry.
Where he later on in the movies in Batman Forever or Batman and Robin, it becomes Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones, yep.
Yeah.
But
But really quick, we did see the heads up to Bob Kane, but we should give due to Bill Finger because he really did partially 50% create the original Batman.
Yeah.
Bill Finger heads up.
So this movie was completely shot on the Pinewood Studios backlot in England. And they actually took up most of the backlot space on that set. It was massive and.
This feels very Metropolis when you're looking at it, like with the sets in the background and just the design of the city.
So here we're going back into the good old flashback or not a flashback. We're getting the origin story yet again, but obviously the first one ever on the cinematic screen, at least for a more this version
serious,
of the
more
the
serious
Batman
tone.
movies. More
Batman.
serious tone of the death of Bruce's parents. And once again, Detective Comics 33 is that first origin. Detective Comics 27 is the first ever Batman. So.
Wow. At least Martha here has more lines in this film than she has in any of the other Batmans I've seen.
Right.
She's so nagging here. Ugh.
You don't get to see the parents too much in any of the movies.
Yeah.
Usually they're just flashbacks.
A little bit in Batman Begins, I guess, but maybe more so in that actually than ever before. Now I think about it.
Does anyone ever like living in Gotham in any of the Batman films?
It's never portrayed as a very good place.
I don't think I ever recall anyone saying, "God, I love living in Gotham."
Right. Not even Bruce. Is that Shill?
No, I don't think so. And
Ooh.
yeah, so
Very much more involved murdered.
No, these aren't Bruce's parents, is it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Oh, sorry, I forgot this was a flashback.
But the origin of killed him, they do it differently in some of the movies. And
Wait,
stuff.
no,
it's
isn't
not.
a flashback. That's what
No.
I thought. This is Batman helping this couple.
Oh,
Okay,
wow.
Ryan.
Oh,
Ryan.
I was like, no,
Wow,
that's
Tim
this
Burton
is not.
got us.
Ryan the Collector got that wrong, and Tim Burton did get me because I thought that's how it started.
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Do you know the one who played the dad right there? Do you know that's Biggs from Star Wars?
Oh, I didn't.
Garrick Hagen, or I think that's his name. Yeah.
Wow. So that was an intentional misdirect.
That was
great.
misdirect.
And it's
But
just
we do get it, I believe, at some point. I feel.
In this movie, I don't know
thought
if we.
so.
I mean, we had talked about this before. How many times that scene's been filmed
Right.
of the Waynes being killed. Yeah.
Mr. Burton, you got us.
Yes.
So these
man.
guys who just robbed the family, they think there is no Batman yet, but yeah, they're in store for a little bit of a surprise.
That's when the Batman's still a mystery.
This is some really
it's just
good.
a rumor.
What did they use to kind of lower him down? Do you think, like wires?
Oh yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
wires.
Yeah. A lot of practical.
Not really
still
CG at this time.
Right.
You know how dark this movie is? It actually, a lot of people complained how dark this movie was. They couldn't see anything, so when they released this on home video, they actually brightened up the whole movie.
Wow.
I really
That's
didn't.
a crime.
I like this exposition here. I think it really worked. It didn't feel too cheesy.
No,
I
they did
agree.
a great job with it.
But yeah, this whole movie, this is a very big departure from what people were used to seeing as Batman. Before this, people were more familiar with the Adam West TV series from the 60s, which was very goofy, and this really darkened it up. And, even in the comics, he wears tights and everything, and, they kind of eliminated that whole look, and, yeah, just kind of established what Batman would become for modern audiences.
Let's see, and it's just like, I mentioned this back in Batman Begins, that all these movie versions of Batman, he has bulletproof armor, which he doesn't have in the comics.
Yeah.
Well, that's not his regular outfit in the comics. He has bulletproof armor. So, because they shoot him, the first thing they do is shoot him, and he comes back to life.
Yeah.
That's
And that was his choice, right? That's Batman here is playing mind games with his victims and allowing himself to get beat up and killed, or not killed, beat up and like shot in order to resurrect and give that illusion of that he's something more than just a human, right?
He wants to put fear in the heart of the villains.
Right.
We just heard the signature line, "I'm Batman," and apparently it was Michael Keaton's idea too to kind of do a different, like a deeper voice as Batman that hadn't been done before. You watch like the old Batman, that was never
Like changing their voice.
Yeah, to kind of hide his identity more, and obviously that's something that's carried through to the all the different incarnations of Batman too.
And we just saw Batman use the Batarang, which was first appeared in Detective Comics 31. And Detective Comics 31, very expensive book. It has this just nostalgic, beautiful, mystified cover of Batman in this kind of ghostly background. Anyone who's seen it knows exactly what I'm talking about. And now we have Harvey Dent, first appearance, Detective Comics 66. So he really came a little bit later in the series, but he's a cool character. Good villain.
I mean, who's cooler than Billy D.
Billy D.
Williams?
Williams,
I mean,
right?
like, come on,
Yeah.
Lando.
Obviously, we don't see Two-Face in this movie.
Right.
We just get him as Harvey Dent, but still.
He was under the impression that he would come back to play Two-Face, and obviously that didn't happen. He had it in his contract, and then when they ended up, bringing in Tommy Lee Jones for Batman Forever, they had to buy out Billy D. Williams' contract.
Really?
Apparently.
Oh, so he didn't think he was coming back for Batman Returns?
I'm not
If he
sure,
wanted to.
but it was still open. Yeah,
That was with
to it.
Penguin
That was
and
probably
Catwoman.
his
obviously.
another, Billy D. Williams being another Star Wars actor, and there's another one who I'll point out when we get to him as well later in this movie. And here we have Jack Nicholson as Jack Napier.
Jack Napier, right?
Apparently, this was one of Jack Nicholson's favorite roles.
Really?
He used to watch it all the time. He loved it. He was a really big fan of, and that's cool because he was already I believe he was already an Oscar winner at this point, and just had fun because the character was so unpredictable and so Ryan, you could talk a little bit about how the Joker's origin story is portrayed and how it differs from this movie, because you actually kind of see his origin where a lot of the other appearances is left more mysterious, such as like The Dark Knight and things like that, which I think maybe I prefer the mysterious origin, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, no, he's an interesting character. So as you all know, I brought out his first appearance in Batman #1 in our Batman Begins podcast. And you don't get his origin in that. That's just when he first appeared. His origin came in a book where he's kind of mentioned as the Red Hood. So he had a bit of a mystified kind of origin to start out. He was a bit of a kind of wanted to be more than what he was character, and through that bad accident where he fell into the ooze, became the Joker, and just the face and everything changed.
Was that in the comics through the vat, falling in the vat?
I
Was that ever
believe
present?
so.
That is
yeah.
one of the story, like the Red Hood
Yeah,
version
yeah.
of the story where he falls into.
Okay, I kind of like the mysterious origin, like Dark Knight. His story changes and it's left kind of mysterious. It's kind of like Rashomon, where things are a little different. And I believe this. Is this the actor here? The larger detective? I believe he's the one who played Porkins in Star Wars, the X-Wing pilot who gets killed during the Death Star trench run. So we got a bunch of Star Wars guys in this.
Yeah.
And then so it was Detective Comics 168. So his origin did not come out until 19 51. The
Wow.
book came out in 38,
Yeah,
39.
yeah.
So
They kept it secret for a
They
while.
kept it secret for a while, yeah. But I'll show my fellow podcasters. Here's what the first cover looks like, so you can see where he has this red hood and a
interesting.
kind of magician-looking character to
Does
him.
he even have eye holes in there?
No, I don't
It's like a
believe he
solid
does.
red hood.
And Batman in the Gotham show, as you recall, they did do, and they started that out with Jerome, who plays the
Yes.
Joker eventually. So they led into that into the TV series.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a very expensive book, not easy to acquire. But
So that Red Hood animated Batman movie, probably one of my favorites.
yes, that is a great animated movie.
Is it, so it's
I
derived from the
haven't seen it.
character?
Okay, guys. So I kind of messed this up. I feel like in the last Batman, this is the guy at least in the Gotham show, played by
Donald Logue?
right. Isn't that the same
this is,
character?
Oh, is it? I'm not that familiar with Gotham.
Harvey Bullock, right?
Bullock.
Yes.
Is this Harvey
That's
Bullock
right,
or
it's
no?
Bullock.
I always get that
I'm
confused.
not
So I
100%
don't-
sure.
There's
It's
Denton
Bullock.
Bullock.
It's
It is.
Bullock. but
Okay.
I don't know if...
Oh,
is it Harvey?
Eckhart. No,
Oh, Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart.
Oh, so this is a different
Coincidence?
guy. I know, what a
I don't
coincidence.
Huh.
Later on.
Well, I guess
Foreshadowing.
this guy Eckhart kind of takes on that Bullock role to me a little
Yes.
bit,
Yeah.
but maybe a little bit of a better
The corrupt
person.
cop. That's
And not in the beginning, though,
corrupting.
obviously. Yes.
So who's Jack Napier here?
He's essentially a gangster, but like
Yes.
a higher mid-level gangster. But he takes it upon himself to want to be more, and that's where Jack Palance's character is kind of like the head of the gang, the gang, if you will. Like Jack Napier wants to overthrow him, and that's where things don't go very well for Jack Napier, as we learn at some point soon when he becomes the Joker. I love this character. If you guys remember this guy's name, who is the gun? I love that guy, but I think he's a great actor.
The guy behind Napier.
Yeah, I
right
can
now?
never remember his
Yes.
name. I'm gonna
Oh.
find out right now, though.
Good thing we have pocket computers.
Pocket computers, yes.
It was very, very moody. Jack Nicholson's just perfect for
Yep.
this. I mean, they had a lot of other options for casting. They thought about I think Willem Dafoe at one point because they thought
Oh,
he
wow.
looked exactly like the Joker,
Been
and
amazing.
just a lot of other people. But I mean, I'm glad it worked out for Jack
I mean,
Nicholson.
well, Defoe wouldn't have been the worst choice. I mean,
No.
I think he would have did a great job, but he wouldn't have done this. He would not have done this. This is iconic.
And that character, so the actor's name is Tracy Walter, and he plays Bob the Goon.
Oh, nice.
Bobby.
So now we're seeing a little bit more of the outdoor sets that they built at Pinewood during the day, a rare daytime scene, right, in Gotham. And actually, they left these sets up at Pinewood for years after this movie, thinking they would be used for sequels. But then after this movie, which this was filmed in England, for the next 3 Batman movies during the course of the 90s, they all moved to Burbank and filmed on the Warner Brothers lot.
Oh wow.
One of the reasons they had brought this to England was because the media hype was so high, they kind of got away from it a little bit from the U.S. media and filmed this in England. And then this was the last Batman movie to film in England until Batman Begins in 2005. So.
Great.
Did we just see Commissioner Gordon? Wasn't he that kind of older gentleman at that point?
He's in this.
Yeah.
He's in this, but I don't think that was him yet.
Okay. So now we
Because
got
right now
Vicky Vale.
we're not in the police station. We're at the news where he works.
Have they
He's a
handed the
reporter.
sketch off yet? Did that just happen?
Yeah, that
Yes,
just
he
happened.
just
Oh,
made
it just
the
happened. That's a Bob Kane sketch, right? It's signed by Bob Kane.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes,
Oh,
and
wow.
Bob Kane was originally supposed to have a cameo as the guy who hands it in, but he got ill or something and didn't make a cameo until I think Batman Forever.
So you
but-
mean Bob Kane was trying to pull a Stan Lee before Stan Lee was doing
Yeah,
Stan Lee cameos?
yeah.
It's too bad it
With his
didn't work out
drawings?
for him. But
No, I think he pops up. I think Batman Forever. He has a
Oh, he
little
does.
cameo in one of those. Yeah.
So really quick, Vicky Vale, Batman 49. That's her first appearance. It's actually also the first appearance of the Mad Hatter, even though we don't get him in this movie. But yeah, it came out in
have
1948.
we gotten the Mad Hatter in any live action? I don't.
Yeah, in the Gotham TV series.
Oh,
Grand
see,
premiere.
I have not.
But not in
I have
not in a
watched
movie though.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So no one talks about how we are in love. Look, so we're all early 30s here, in our 30s in general. We always talk about what Nolan did with The Dark Knight and with Batman Begins, and we always feel like, okay, the superhero world would not be what it is without Christopher Nolan. I don't think we give enough credit to this movie here.
No.
Maybe to people older, but I don't think our generation understands what this film did for the genre as a whole. I mean, you do some of the research and watch YouTube videos, and you find out that there are people stealing the posters from bus stops.
Oh yeah, this was big. I mean, I think this was the biggest comic book movie since. I mean, you really had Richard Donner's Superman in 1978, And then they made some terrible sequels during the course of the 80s. And then there was this 11 years later. I don't really think there's any big comic success movie stories in between.
I don't think you can call the Supergirl movie from the early 90s, late 80s. I don't think you can call that
or Howard the Duck, which was like 3 years before this. No, another Marvel.
Maybe the Conan movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which those are based off comic books.
Yeah, that's true. And Chad, I mean, how much did this movie make?
This movie was huge in 1989. This movie was made in about a $35 to $40 million budget. Think how small that sounds today, right?
And like this scene in Matrix.
This movie made about 40-ish million in its opening weekend. Again, huge for 1989. Grossed about 251 million domestic, which again, huge. And then only, back then foreign wasn't as big, about 160-ish foreign, so 400 something worldwide on a $35 to $40 million budget. Massive.
So it's safe to say the fan base was ready for this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think they really the poster for this is just like the logo. That's all you need. And actually unadjusted for inflation, this movie made more than Justice League, which I think is hilarious. Adjusted for inflation, domestically, it's like over 500 million if you adjust for inflation, just domestic, which is so. It's safe to say this movie was a massive hit, and no studios wanted this. A lot of studios, they were considering doing Batman as a comedy movie. Ivan Reitman was attached at one point because we said it was more. Batman was kind of a goofy thing before this.
Yeah, the 1960s Batman was the
which I love. I grew up watching the Adam West Show. I love that, but this is just a completely different take. And Warner Brothers ended up, getting the rights and making it. And I think because they had done Superman in 1978, and that all worked out really well for them. And but I mean, this was a huge hit. I think this was either the number one or number two highest grossing movie in 1989. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was either right before it or right after it, something like that. Yeah. So,
were you gonna say, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh no. I was gonna say that this scene we just watched is when I guess the Jack Palance character Grissom, who's the big lead boss, and Jack Napier, featured Joker, works for him, and he sends him on the mission to it's pretty much going to be a setup where you see that he sees that he's been sleeping with his wife. The Joker's been Jack Napier has been sleeping with Grissom's the boss's wife, and so if you watch that scene, you'll see that he knows. You can tell that he knows, and he kind of sets him up on this mission to where he's going to wind up being betrayed.
Yeah.
And we just got Alfred, and I said in a previous podcast, but just once again gonna tell you it's Batman 16. This really ominous kind of dark figure on the cover with a blue background. It's really cool looking cover for that book. Oh, and man, now we finally get Michael Keaton.
Yeah, we do.
Intro Michael Keaton.
Wow, that's a good 18 minutes in. We don't get to see Bruce Wayne until 18 minutes.
Yep. Yeah. So for Alfred, let's keep tabs on when we did Batman Begins. We talked about how Alfred was the mother figure and the father figure, and how much he nags Bruce and stuff. I don't know. We can see how much. Well, you can see he's kind of like
cleaning up after him.
Yeah, he's cleaning up after him and everything. And Michael Gough, who plays Alfred here, would go. There's only 2 actors that appear in all the 4 Batmans. From this,
pretty sure Commissioner Gordon does.
Yeah, it's him. It's Michael Gough as Alfred, and then Commissioner Gordon, that actor. And Michael Gough, Tim Burton continued to use him up until right before his death. He's in Sleepy Hollow. He does voices in like Corpse Bride and some other stuff. Tim Burton continued to use him in some other movies.
Well, Tim Burton seems a little like loyal and devoted to like. People obviously using Michael Keaton most of the time, and he's seen. His style of movies, and obviously later on when he works with Johnny Depp, when he does other stuff, he stays loyal.
And Commissioner Gordon, one of the few characters that we get with Batman in his first appearance. So a lot of characters really came later, but for whatever reason, Commissioner Gordon, Detective Comics 27, we get him right away. So,
wow.
There's commercials, Dr. Pepper commercials with Alfred. Around this time.
To see that.
As Alfred or just with the actor?
No, as Alfred.
Oh, really?
It was like a Batman marketing opportunity.
Oh, I'm sure they had so many tie-ins.
There's so many. At this time, there was Batman cereal.
Awesome.
I just watched a bunch of commercials.
Were they little bat-shaped pieces?
They were the yellow.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, who manufactured this? There was no, Nabisco presents Batman. This is Batman cereal.
Yeah, that's great. Well, speaking of Tim Burton, can we just talk about the fact he was we talk about this in a lot of podcasts, looking retrospectively at how old people were. He was 30 years old when he directed this movie, which is younger than us.
Jesus.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, he was hired because he had done Pee-wee's Big Adventure 4 years before this, which was a huge hit for Warner Brothers. And then he did Beetlejuice the year before this, and so he was hired off of those movies. Those were his only features before this, and I mean, this obviously rocketed him into stardom.
Does anyone know where this was shot? I would love to know where. What
Sounds like a
mansion
set.
is this?
Oh,
Does it look like a set
I
to
mean,
you,
the
actually?
interiors are probably mostly sets built at Pinewood.
Okay.
But the exterior is some famous old, mansion in England that I'm not sure what other movies it's been used for. But
Seems like the best place to shoot something like this.
yeah, well, the biggest set for this movie was obviously the Batcave, which we have not seen yet, but that took up like Pinewood's largest stage. And apparently, when they moved in to build all the sets, a lot of the old sets from Aliens were still there.
Really?
Like the big Queen's Chamber from Aliens, and a lot of big movies filmed at that studio.
And it seems like him being a reporter. This is when Bruce Wayne kind of introduced himself to Bruce Wayne and Knox.
Vicky,
And they don't recognize him.
Yeah. This is our Bruce Wayne. The Nolan Bruce Wayne is one of the top 10 most noticeable people in the world. This Bruce Wayne, Chris, like you're saying.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing.
He's known by name in this movie. He's his name is famous, but his face doesn't go out as much.
I mean, this is the 1980s, and there wasn't internet or TMZ and things like that. Which 2005 is still kind of the beginning of all that too. When Batman Begins came out, but it may be. I mean, even the 80s, I guess you'd think he would be on TV or in newspapers.
No, but he would have been in the newspaper,
right?
For
you think so?
Doing
or the local
contribution
news
or something.
Yeah,
it's weird that they didn't even know what he looked like.
Maybe he made silent contributions.
Oh yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like he's known by Wayne
More
Enterprises,
anonymous.
but no one knows his face as much because.
But yeah, Michael Keaton was more known as a. Let's talk about his casting. He was more known as a comedic actor at this point. He had done Mr. Mom and Night Shift and Beetlejuice right before this, and
Multiplicity.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that was after.
That was right after. Well,
that was the '90s.
But that was more his
mid-90s,
typecasting, though.
That was
which, by the way, I just wanted to say, give a little shout out to the late great Jack Palance, who played one of my favorite characters in the history of the cinematic, of all time.
City Slickers?
Curly from City Slickers. I mean, one thing. I mean, who doesn't know the one thing that he says to Billy Crystal? He's the best. So.
No, it's but so there was we were talking about there was a lot of backlash when Michael Keaton was announced.
I'm surprised the studio even wanted, because they wanted to make a more serious Batman, but then you're looking at casting someone that's predominantly known as a comedian. So it wasn't until Jack Nicholson was brought onto the project that this was going to get made, right?
It was he was big, and then it was one of the producers' ideas, I think, for Michael Keaton, and Tim Burton had just worked with him on Beetlejuice, and I think had seen I forget the name of the movie, but he had seen him in a dramatic role and thought he had that range to bring to it.
I'm sorry, can we just appreciate the old school technology that we're looking at?
Surveillance
systems.
Those cameras were huge.
Yeah, were they just supposed to not notice those? And they're massive surveillance cameras.
Well, it was behind the mirror. That's why
it was behind the mirror. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got it.
But he's recording this. He had to rewind back to see what happened. Literally rewind.
Is this our first Batman, or excuse me, this is our first Bruce Wayne that wears glasses, bifocals?
Maybe.
I don't recall him wearing it ever before.
Yeah.
So.
Did the Adam West version ever wear glasses? I don't think Adam West in real life, as he got older, wore glasses, but I don't think in the show he ever did.
I don't think so.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, watching this Bruce Wayne, he feels so vulnerable and lost, like a puppy that you just want to hold. He doesn't seem like that badass Bruce Wayne that we grew up watching, on the cartoon that Chad hasn't seen. But
Yep.
You know what I mean? He feels
I'll own
very
it.
vulnerable.
So this is,
No, I like that. I always talk shit about you not seeing things, but I like the fact that you haven't seen stuff. That means we get to experience it with you
that's
for the
true.
first
It's
time.
virgin territory that I look forward to seeing change, because it's going to be interesting to see his reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my cinematic pet peeves.
You know what I love about this too is what's when you cinematic?
When someone's like, "You haven't seen Jurassic Park?" No, bitch. Maybe I didn't have television when I was a kid.
Have you actually not seen Jurassic Park?
I've seen it.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh my god.
No, what were you saying, Chad?
I was just saying this is cool. Like, I love this, and they do this with all the Batman things. But it's like, this is made in the late '80s, but they still dress people like it's the 1930s. Like the gangsters have like the old gangster suits and it's like Dick Tracy style with like because these all characters debuted in the '30s or mob stuff. They still wore fedoras, and Gotham does this. It's kind of like it's like. It's like modern but not modern, which is kind of cool. Like I really like that aesthetic.
I even got a hint of that in Batman Begins. I don't know why. I just felt like it was a little bit dated because even when Rachel Dawes, the car that she's driving is like a 1980 something like Toyota or something like that. It's really weird. And I'm like, are you not in the 2000s?
She didn't make a lot of money as a public defender or whatever she was in that movie.
Yeah. It felt slightly dated, but not really. It was kind of cool.
So you gotta love these old school special effects, right?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Very practical.
I don't know who did the special effects for this movie, but I won't.
A lot of special effects, practical effects. Actually, I think Sylvester Stallone said in an interview at one point he thinks this movie put an end to the big action, kind of big muscly action star movies of the 80s, like with Schwarzenegger and Stallone and stuff, because of all the special effects and stuff. It kind of, like Michael Keaton obviously is not a big jacked dude.
Yeah. No, I do remember him saying something like that because this is one of the movies where the action star wasn't this guy who was super in shape.
Right.
All of a sudden, all these other movies that started coming out, and there wasn't these guys that actually worked out like this. Because
in the 80s, you had Conan, you had Rambo, you had John McClane. I mean, I guess Bruce Willis wasn't. Yeah, I guess it wasn't his muscles really in that movie. But yeah, this kind of started like big action movies being about the visual effects and and stuff like that rather than the main dude kind of. Yeah.
That's interesting. Never looked at it.
Yeah. Hey. So now we're getting closer to Jack Napier's free fall into the vat of chemicals, which I don't even know if they named the chemicals. Place? Like what? I wasn't.
They're called Axis chemicals.
It's actually the same ooze that they used in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
It's also the same ooze from Power Rangers.
Exactly. Same ooze.
I've never seen any Power Rangers.
Oh my god! It just gets worse and worse.
Okay, but I have seen Secret of the Ooze. I love the Ninja Turtles.
Nickelodeon.
So too bad he didn't turn into like a giant turtle or rat or something. That could have been, the Joker could have taken a very different path,
I think he would have made a good Joker.
Nickelodeon.
You can't do that on television.
Slime, yeah. You can't do that on television. Hell yeah! Oh my god.
And Batman tries to save him because even though Jack Napier is a really bad villain, he's not a good person. He's killed people.
Does he try to save him though?
He does. Yeah. He does. He lets.
Okay.
Well, here he tries to save Gordon. He saves Gordon.
I was reading somewhere that it's very ambiguous whether or not he wants to save him because of the look on his face after he drops him or something like that.
Well, we'll have to see that.
Let's look at it right now. If you're following along with us, which you probably are.
This is Batman facing off with Jack Napier right over the vat.
Yeah.
Joker vat.
I do like this costume. I mean, it's a little bit like plasticky and.
Well, this is the famous cowl where like Michael Keaton couldn't turn his head at all, so they didn't figure that out till much later on. But he had to like turn his entire body to look at people.
Oh, you're right. God,
right.
I never even thought about that.
He got very claustrophobic and uncomfortable.
It's a very rigid kind of look when he does it too. It's like
made the fight scenes very stiff.
Actually, if you go to if you ever take the Warner Brothers studio tour in the museum on the lot, they have all the cowls from all the different movies. You can see how it advanced over time until you get to like the Nolan Batmans. It's just kind of around the head and gives freedom to move. They could look around and everything.
Yeah. Oh, he is blocked.
Oh, did he just get shot in the? He just gets a ricochet. Oh,
here's
the
part.
He tries to save him.
Jack's about to take his dive.
Because Batman does not kill people.
That's it.
Batman doesn't kill people. He always tries to save even the bad guy.
Oh, is the ricochet what fucks up his mouth? And
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ricochet of the bullet that he fired.
Here we go. Oh.
Into the green Kool-Aid.
Now, this is kind of an older comic, right, Ryan? Like an older comic kind of staple is somebody just, an unnamed source of ooze or radiation just like turns them into this very specific kind of character like the Hulk or the Joker or where it's like not so much, I feel like modern audiences don't kind of want more of a explanation. Something more logical than
Are you saying you feel like maybe they made it a little too easy back then? Like, hey, you have this ooze, he falls in, boom,
and he's a Joker. Yeah, it's like he'd probably have like huge burns and scars.
I mean,
you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
I think when back in the day when the artists and writers were creating, when Stan Lee, Bob Kane, when they were creating these characters, I don't think they cared too much about the specific dynamic. Like with the Hulk, he gets hit with radiation, he turns into the Hulk.
Right.
Although I will say sometimes they were very unique and were able to use maybe some, but they made it up even half the time. Like, I can't even go into detail. Like some of the stuff that they do in the comics, it's actually unique. But
no, Chad, that's something I've noticed too. Is when like the differences between the films of our past and the current films that we have now. I think screenwriters and filmmakers need to understand that those scenes that take place in between these scenes in the 80s, like those scenes are important for us to physically understand who these characters are, what their motivations are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, our films are still, well, I want to say they're still shorter, but recently they feel longer.
Back in the day, Superman, he was powerful just because he was on another planet and he was an alien. Now he's powerful because if you watch Man of Steel, Chad, your favorite movie of all time, if you watch Man of Steel, Russell Crowe's character who plays his father, and he even says the radiation, your cells are drinking it up. Like they go even more into the mechanics of the science,
That. But see, I don't need that with Superman, I guess, but
it's just an element to it.
So here's a scene with him having dinner with Vicky Vale, where kind of the Michael Keaton's comedic sensibilities, I think, are good in this, where they're sitting at the opposite ends of the table. I guess it was Michael Keaton's idea, and he has the line, doesn't he? I don't know if he already said it, where he says, I don't think I've ever been in this room before, or something like that, like how big Wayne Manor is, but this is a kind of a comedic scene, and I think Michael Keaton's perfect for this kind of scene.
I think that's one of the things I like with Tim Burton, because he does add a little bit of comedy, especially into his dark stuff. One of the things adding in, this might be his genius, his idea, bringing in Keaton, because to add that like lightness to it, to this dark movie, and also probably a contrast of Batman being a scary figure while Bruce Wayne is still.
Batman is not a lighthearted fit character like in the comics, not at all. He is very serious. So I gotta agree with you. I gotta give it to Tim Burton for bringing in someone that could bring that comedic element. Because I thought it was a nice little take on him. So
I mean, well, the Adam West, that show was kind of
different.
Different.
I don't count Adam West.
Now, did you from reading the early comics, like when that TV series came out in the 1960s, was that similar to how you had if you had, I know obviously you weren't alive then, but like if you had grown up reading the comics for the almost 30 years before the TV series came out, would that have been close to that, or did they lighten it up?
It's pretty publicly known that I think they knew they were taking a big gamble. And I think it only lasted 2 seasons or something, I believe. 3 seasons? Yes. Yeah, they took a big gamble on going with that. That was not the normalized characters that we... Like the Bam and the Shan, the way they did, like that was... I mean,
I think that was more.
So he was dark in the comics.
Yes, definitely dark in the comics.
I believe that was more of the style of just television in general at that time.
Agreed.
It was.
Where it was colorful and bright and funny and laughing-ish. Laughing style, and they just took Batman and...
So this is getting it more close to.
This is much closer than to ever before. At that time,
but the public at this point was pretty much the general movie-going, TV-watching public. Pretty much only had Adam West in their minds, probably at the time this movie came out. So it was a big departure.
Which is kind of funny to say, hey, what's wrong with Michael Keaton? Because Adam West was really goofy.
Yeah, he brought it to the level
you can't take that show seriously, but it's great. It's super entertaining, and I love it. But
I believe there's a good balance, and obviously Michael Keaton's comes out. I mean, is a great actor.
Tim Burton really is the perfect after like Beetlejuice, just that dark and weird, and you kind of have to embrace a lot of that for this movie. And I mean, he is the perfect aesthetic for this movie. He really does.
I thought he did a good job of bringing the comic book element out onto the screen, which maybe for Superman and some other ones, but just on a whole different level you really hadn't experienced before, in my opinion, just with Batman. I think he got the grimy and the texture of Gotham just beautifully, so.
Which I think, he goes full force with that again in Batman Returns, and then they kind of, then it gets, we've talked about this before, it gets a little campy and goofy wonky, going into the Schumacher years until Nolan kind of recaptured that darkness and grittiness. here we go. We're about to get the reveal of the Joker in his full glory.
Go ahead, Chris.
He won't be revealed yet, but this is what happened to him.
And so for a long time, right in the early days of The Dark Knight, when that was coming out with Heath Ledger, a lot of people were like, no. I think even after the movie had come out, when everyone was in love with Heath Ledger, even then they were like, no. Nicholson's my Joker forever. But I think it's shifted over the years. I see a shift where Ledger's Joker is now kind of beloved, maybe even a little more. But they're just different Jokers. I mean, he's the gangster. Yeah. Heath Ledger's the madman or whatever.
The psychopath.
Psychopath, yeah.
Yeah, psychopath.
Like if you think of a superhero and the villain, there's you can't think of Batman without the Joker.
100%.
Like when you think of Superman, you might think Doomsday. Like who else do you think?
No.
Superman?
With Superman, you think Lex Luthor.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
He is the preeminent anti-Superman.
Brains against bronze.
With Spider-Man, who do you think of? I mean, there's so many villains of Doc Ock. Maybe
Spider-Man's a tough one. There's really no set villain for that, to be honest. There's
Green
so many
Goblin,
good ones, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
He has
probably
Green Goblin.
I always felt like Doc Ock was probably number one, but I would say like Green Goblin's probably on the same level, and so he has a couple different villains.
Green Goblin and I know we're getting on a bit of a tangent, but that's fine. Green Goblin came out in ASM 14, Amazing Spider-Man 14. Doc Ock came out number 3, so much sooner. But there's something about Green Goblin that always stuck more in the series with me than Doc Ock.
God, Ryan, save it for Spider-Man.
Doc Ock's a great villain. Save it for Spider-Man. Sorry, Chad's right.
That's fine. I'm joking.
You're right, though. We're getting too on a tangent now. Talk to me about comics.
We'll reiterate this comic information for you when we do a Spider-Man.
So wait, Chris, were you right? Have we not seen the Joker yet? His face?
We have not.
Yeah,
we have
not yet. I thought the reveal is it. I haven't watched this movie in a while. I don't remember which scene it happened. Is it here?
Tim Burton likes to keep things in shadow.
Oh, yeah, no, it's great because people are waiting to see it, which is awesome. I mean, they must have showed him in the marketing.
Oh yeah, no, they showed him
movie, right? Yes. But Jack Nicholson. So I guess Jack has always been a partier, and I guess he would regularly be out till 3 a.m. partying. You know Jack is, right? His reputation. Oh, yeah. So he, part of his deal was to have a later call time than everyone else. And so people would show up, film call times are usually, like 5, 6 in the morning, really early. And I guess his would be closer to like 10 a.m., but he still had like a couple hours of makeup. And I guess he would just show up at like 10 a.m. and just from his partying, and he'd just sit in the makeup chair and lean his head back and fall asleep. And then let them do all his... and then sometimes they'd record he's a big Lakers fan and try to go to every game, or they'd have the Lakers games recorded and put that on so you could watch them and stuff too. And
so does he say that famous... the Dance with the Devil in the Moonlight?
Here we go.
The Joker, wow.
Yes. Well,
I wonder
here it goes.
What's that purple on his neck?
Oh, that's a hickey. That's actually a hickey.
That's interesting.
I don't know what that is.
Interesting. Oh.
That's
him falling asleep in the makeup chair. No.
Oh. How many times does Jack Nicholson play a character named Jack? Because The Shining, it's all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Oh, yeah,
Isn't he Jack in that too? Hey. Jack Torrance? Yeah.
Writers weren't as imaginative back then.
Maybe so he can easily remember his character's name. I don't know. I love Jack. I wish we would do more movies.
That's like
currently.
Jackie Chan and what's his name?
Chris
in
Tucker?
Russia. Chris Tucker always calling him Jackie.
Oh my god, you're right.
All the outtakes. All the outtakes from Russia. Jackie.
We haven't heard it yet, but if anyone knows, I'm curious. I'd like to learn and I'll look for it too. I just love that phrase that Jack Napier / Joker eventually says is don't dance with the devil in the moonlight, pale or something. And I don't think that was in the comics. I don't recall that ever.
I believe it was written for
I feel like that was written for it, yeah. But it's an interesting quote.
Doesn't he say in this that he says that to all his victims or something? But like it's actually, you see him, he didn't just say it in that scene, so it's like he doesn't actually say it to all his victims, but yeah.
Right.
I have to say that about my prayer.
So what was Vicky Vale, played by Kim Basinger, for you guys on the Babe scale?
Hanging like a bat.
I mean, she doesn't look any different than when she looked in 8 Mile.
I think I was in love with her.
Can I be honest? I didn't actually. You guys give me shit about a lot of stuff. I never really watched this movie as a kid. I didn't really watch these movies when I was younger.
Really?
What were you
I don't know.
doing?
I watched a lot of other stuff. I don't know. I do remember as a kid, we'll talk about this when we get to it, but like Batman Returns, there were I remember seeing parts of that when I was a kid, and it scared the shit out of me, like the Penguin stuff, and we'll get to that. Oh, look at this Jack Nicholson face right here.
Man, it's amazing.
This is
Did
epic.
they use like some sort of aesthetic device to like protrude.
Oh yeah, there's prosthetic. Yeah, there's a bunch of
prosthetics.
prosthetic pieces to extend his cheeks and his lips.
That was one of the big iconic lines from the trailers at the time. When did they get a load of me?
Yeah.
When he sees the papers, and he's decided, I'm gonna now take over the underworld.
Gotcha.
I feel like when they get a load of me was a very 90s reference. Like so many
Get a
cartoons.
load of me, yeah.
And...
So anyways, like, I guess what I was saying is, since I didn't watch this as a kid, I have no early sexual awakening stories relating to Kim Basinger in this movie. So.
Well, because she was in that famous movie L.A. Confidential with.
Yes.
That
I don't want to say who was in that. Right?
That was 1997.
That's what. Okay, so that came out a long later.
Yeah. Russell Crowe was in that.
I was gonna say Kevin Spacey, but I don't want to say.
Oh no, he's in that. It's okay. Yeah, we can.
Why don't I want to say Kevin Spacey?
Because I don't want to talk about him.
Okay.
He's my favorite actors of all time, and he's really screwed the pooch on that one. So, not a fan of him anymore.
Well, it wasn't exactly a pooch, but anyway.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
If any of you capers, if any of you capers have read our posted individual bios with our favorite movies and facts and stuff about ourselves, if you saw the Resident Movie Nerd post, which should be up by the time you listen to this, there is one of my facts is that I am a visible background extra in the movie 21 with Kevin Spacey. I did not share a scene with him. My scenes were with like Jim Sturgis and Kate Bosworth, but I did. I'll talk about this now. Whatever. They were filming at Boston University, where I was a student at the time, and while they were filming on campus, it was not while we were filming, but beforehand, I ran into Kevin Spacey outside. He was smoking a cigarette and drinking a Diet Coke outside one of the buildings, and I went up and I introduced myself, and I think I shook his hand and said, it's cool that you're filming this here, and I said, I knew I was going to be an extra in the future, and he said, great, and everything, and didn't try to hit on me or anything, so it was all good, it was great.
Yeah,
it was it was a fine interaction.
That's good to hear.
Just saying.
I
think, I was 21 at this point, I was probably a little, I wasn't a teen.
That's when they had the Bruce Wayne hair.
All right, if we can get off this topic,
I had Bruce Wayne bangs at the time. Yes, it's all good. Anyways, side tangent.
I digress.
Oh, now here we have the Joker hiding himself under actual flesh-colored makeup, but with the prosthetics. Which, when he wipes it off, there's some interesting tidbits about that.
I feel like this moment, this scene right here where he uses the hand device is comparable to when Heath Ledger does the pencil.
Right.
But I like this one more, personally.
These are all the mob bosses, right? That he's...
Correct. Yeah, these are the mob bosses, and he's taking control.
It's a hell of a buzzer.
Yeah, that's a little more a throwback to the comic book version that would do these like silly toys and silly games to kill people with. Which
is cool because Heath Ledger takes it a step further by being the only person that infiltrated this gang meeting and by himself. Like, here, Jack Nicholson has his goons, which is a very 80s comic book thing. You're going to always have your goons with you. But I think that was one of the devices that they used in, Batman, The Dark Knights, is to kind of make him feel like a new villain.
Yeah, I agree. You're right.
Now, this that we just saw where Jack starts to wipe off his flesh-colored makeup to reveal the white Joker color underneath, apparently that was a big challenge for the makeup artist. So, like, okay, how do we have him, remove a layer of makeup to reveal a layer of makeup? And apparently what they did is they painted him white, like they normally, whatever substance they used for that, and then they applied, it was something, I don't know much about makeup, but some layer of, grease paint or something where not much sticks to it, and they very carefully did the flesh-colored makeup over the white. And his handkerchief was covered in isopropyl alcohol, and he had to do it really lightly just so it would remove the top layer of makeup but still reveal the one underneath. It was something very complicated, but these makeup professionals are able to figure this stuff out. But if you think about that, as a makeup artist, that's a challenge when you read that. You're like, how do we do that?
I don't think I've been so impressed with something so practical my whole life.
Yeah, I always thought that he just had white makeup on the rag or his
apparently
that seems a lot easier.
Actually, you're right.
He's wiping white on his head on his real flesh.
That makes a lot more sense.
That's always what I felt it was like.
That does make sense. But I'm wondering now with that technique that I read about, I'm wondering if they did that for this whole face or just knowing he would just do that part of the forehead.
If you notice that the wipe is a little different from the last scene. If you actually look at the last scene, this wipe is a little different, so it's a different take.
Right, it would have been easier just to have him wipe on
so wipe on white
makeup, but apparently they didn't do it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess hey.
Huh? Did you pick? I mean,
we got money to spend.
Yeah,
35 million only, but
I would have never picked that up. That the fact that he wiped his face and
it was so quick and finessed almost. Yeah. I wouldn't have picked it up either.
Well, I didn't notice, but I wonder if you can see the flesh color come off on his handkerchiefs. So you don't want to see the white.
He hides it because he does this, and he just kind of like pulls it down.
As a production design major, hats off to that fucking art department. That was really cool.
Speaking of which, this movie actually was nominated for, or did it win? And I think this won an Oscar for art direction for 1989, which was actually the first Batman movie to be nominated for any competitive Oscars or anything until Batman Begins in 2005.
So and I just want to explain to everyone, I just witnessed the most amazing thing. It was Chris and Martin signing that one of them was going to the bathroom. So it's gotten down to an art now that I can't even go into detail about how impressive it is. So I just want you all to know, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. Not one bathroom break.
I'm going. I have the bladder of a 3-week-old little poodle.
Yeah. I see that now. I see that.
But yeah, I guess Warner Brothers did a big awards push for this for everybody from Burton to Jack Nicholson but then it ended.
Did anyone win an Academy Award for Best Performance for Acting in this?
No.
Okay.
Not even nominated.
Okay.
Yeah, and it did win an Oscar for art direction.
Okay, so it just got art direction.
It won for art direction for this.
Yes.
Oh,
actually
wow.
won. Yep.
Burton's team can get it done, but Nolan's can't.
I know. It didn't win for music in any way with Danny Elfman?
It wasn't even nominated.
Wow.
No, I know.
How was Danny Elfman's score not nominated?
It was the only nomination, and the only win was for art direction for.
That is crazy to me.
Yep. Oh, so this was the first comic book movie to win a competitive Oscar. Now, Superman in 1978 had won a non-competitive special achievement Oscar for visual effects, I believe. So, so this was a big step for comic book movies.
So that's a good point. So now we see Michael Keaton in the area where it appears his parents were first murdered, and he's
we didn't see,
but we thought we did in the beginning. But,
right. And is it ever revealed in this movie?
I swear, I feel like it is. I feel like there's a flashback scene or something, but. I'm not 100% sure now. It might have been in the Val Kilmer or George Clooney one that I'm thinking that I saw that, and not this one.
So he just pulled the Beast from Split, going to drop roses down in front of the train.
Yes, exactly.
Shyamalan influenced by
Burton,
Batman.
Yeah.
It's very here's more the old school aesthetic with the big flash bulbs and the Yeah, they were using modern
Shyamalan
tape
also
recorders,
used in Unbreakable.
Of course he did.
Oh, right, that's right.
When he comes out of the.
Of course, you know everything about M. Night Shyamalan.
We'll tie everything into Shyamalan.
Wait till the Split commentary.
Once again,
the Unbreakable commentary.
There's going to be
Capers. Once again, Martin has seen After Earth 11 plus times.
1-1.
How that's possible, I will never know.
In theaters.
We have a odd mime guy coming out.
I mean, this is really when the Joker starts kind of being a little more open and making his intentions a lot more public, obviously. So I think people are going to start to know who he is now, too.
Oh, this is when you'll see.
Where
all these mimes are out.
It's about to go down.
Apparently Gotham is all full of mimes.
Just random mimes, right? Yeah.
So actually, I think Robin Williams was originally going to be cast as the Joker, as they used that as leverage to get Jack Nicholson. Once Jack saw that, they had him sign on, and then Robert Williams felt very slighted and everything, and was very upset about that, and was angry for many years about that.
Robin Williams, he's an interesting actor. He has, I feel, probably one of the most diverse abilities to play multiple kinds of roles. I think he would have been able to do it.
Oh yeah, he would have been great.
I think he would have been great, but it would have been interesting to see a Robin Williams Joker. It really would have been.
Speaking of casting too, Sean Young was originally cast as Vicky Vale. Sean Young from Blade Runner.
Wow.
But she was
I didn't know that.
riding a horse right before this movie and fell off and broke a bone, a collarbone or something, and had to be recast with Kim Basinger.
So she was luckier than Christopher Reeve was.
True,
I guess,
true. So here's actually people getting lit up by machine guns, which you don't see in Batman movies.
And Bruce Wayne gets shot. He does. I think in the arm.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne gets shot in the arm, and he just shrugs it off like he does. He's so, because what he sees is Jack Napier's face, which I think it might remind him of the original person who killed his parents. Because in this movie, I swear we get a flashback at some point, and it's Jack Napier, but maybe it was a.
Oh yeah, no, we'll just see this flashback later.
Yeah.
Once he realizes this is. Once he realizes that.
That's right,
Jack
we do.
Napier
And in this movie, it
on.
is actually Jack Napier who killed his parents.
Right.
That's what it alludes to, which it's not in
yeah.
in the comics. I don't believe. So.
Well, and I mean, in this scene where he's like looking at him, it's just because he was Batman and he saw him fall in the vat and die, and this is the first time he sees him again.
Yep.
So that's why he looks astounded. Like
that's the connection there.
So it is revealed in this, that Jack was kind of behind the death of his parents. So no Joe Chill, but I think Bob Kane approved that twist, and I think Bob Kane even said something like, if we had more time to figure it out in the comics, we probably would have made the Joker responsible for his death too. So is Alfred wearing like a Starbucks apron there? It's like green. It's like he works at Starbucks.
Alfred was a barista before anybody else. He was the first barista.
Alfred's the first barista.
I relieved your home, sir. It's like,
would you like a latte?
But he's not asking where he's been all night. This is different from the Michael Caine. Different from the nagging Michael. I love Michael Caine. I love Michael Caine.
But we see it though. Even going back to this one, we see the dynamic between these two characters. You do not see the love, more than anywhere else than what Alfred has for Bruce Wayne. He really does, because he brought him up. I mean, his parents died when he was young. So I love this Alfred. He really, and I'm happy that they kept him for like
he's great.
The whole series.
So going back on what I said about when you think about, Batman, who's that villain that ties in? When you think about another superhero, who's that secondhand man that you can never disassociate that superhero with?
Rhodey.
Rhodey.
Brian Man?
I don't know.
Maybe not. I'd say it's more Pepper Potts for
Jarvis?
Iron Man. Or maybe Jarvis, yeah.
Maybe Pepper. Like Spider-Man. Who are you going to think of? Who's like... I guess Mary Jane.
No, he really doesn't, because she's always in the dark with Spider-Man. He keeps I'd say Spider-Man is one of the few characters where he really wants to be, because he knows that he has to be separate from everything else to keep them safe.
Yeah.
Whereas, these other characters, I mean, Superman, Lois Lane, Alfred with Batman, Wonder Woman.
Is that a DC thing?
Doesn't really
I think Pepper Potts is right, because we had talked about during Batman Begins who nags the hero more, Pepper Potts or Alfred. I would say
Pepper Potts fine.
All right, Capers, we're going to throw it out to you. Who do you think nags their superhero more? You can tell us who you think.
Yes, good call.
Thank you.
We'll go
cinematic first. We'll go cinematic first.
Well,
we'll see going forward, but at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming revealed that Aunt May knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That was the best cut to credits.
Right.
I'm sure that now they're filming Spider-Man Far From Home now.
There's going to be some nagging in that
I bet there'll be a lot of... Marissa Tomei will have a lot of nagging to do with Peter Parker.
I had a Spider-Man question I wanted to ask you so bad, Ryan, but we'll save it for Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
We're watching,
we're getting off on a lot of Spider-Man
Save
tangents.
Spider-Man,
I love what's this Joker logo that his goon has on his jacket? It's great. It's already he already has a designed graphics team in place.
That reminds me.
Oh, I think that Joker face, that's a throwback to the first appearance in the book.
Is it? Oh, wow.
That was, I don't have the image for you, but that is definitely that is a throwback to the first Joker face. Yep.
Great.
Really? First Joker's face where?
From Batman #1, his first appearance. That is what his face looks
like. But after Red Hood, or did he have that under the Red Hood?
No. He had that under the Red Hood, essentially. But
okay,
he looks so much more scary and crazy there.
I know. I'm happy you guys pointed out. I've never noticed that until now. So Bob the Goon is wearing a jacket that has a throwback Joker face from the comic book. That is the coolest
But I love
thing.
that in the world of the movie, it kind of it indicates that he's already assembled people to design this logo for him and have his goons wear branded jackets and I love it.
One of my favorite Batman animated episode is the one where, and Chad won't know this, but it's the one where I don't know if you guys remember it all either, but Joker somehow gets control of the port or something like that, and all the fish that start coming in have Joker faces on it, and he brands the fish.
So there's a famous comic book created by Neil Adams. I think I might have mentioned before, famous artist for DC over the years in the 70s. He did a comic. It was Batman 2. 250. No, not 251. There's an actual famous comic book that is the first appearance of the Joker fish, and they are hilarious. So yeah, I think it's in the 200s in that range, but
it's so funny when you
actually
just
sells
go
for
back
quite a
and
bit.
you find out these like little
Yeah.
tidbits, and then they become Easter eggs later on.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's too much good story not to use it for later on for movies and stuff, so it makes sense. You know, you got to do it. Or animate it or something. This scene cracks me up with
Yes.
Action Walker and Amanda Keeler.
That looks like Courtney Cox. Don't quote me on any of those.
No, Courtney Cox is not in this movie. Judy Greer is not in X-Men.
no more
No
Greergate.
more Greergate. Oh, he pointed. It's Greergate.
If you have listened to our X-Men podcast, Judy Greer is not in X-Men. We were just going to set the record straight.
We pointed that out in the
We verified that.
The
based on an out of focus in the background extra in one of Professor Xavier's classroom scenes.
Yeah, Film
No,
School
it was
Dropout.
Kitty Pryde. It was Kitty Pryde. She was a featured extra.
Film School Dropout didn't have his glasses on at that moment, so this is something that I missed in Batman Begins, or no, The Dark Knight. I just remember how much the Joker used like that laughing gas, and you didn't see any of it until that bank robbery scene, right? When he pulls out that grenade and the gas comes out.
But he doesn't even laugh in that.
Yeah.
It just kind of
Knocks
mobilizes
him
and kills them. And this actually like makes them go crazy, which is
How was Jack Nicholson not nominated for an Oscar?
I don't know.
Because back then they didn't really nominate superhero movies. It was
it's
like
not as
Oscar
serious
movies.
of a take as Heath Ledger,
Yeah.
but this is kind of similar to Heath Ledger's the scene in The Dark Knight where he has the
with
video
the news
camera
reporter,
himself. And,
Yeah,
he's got the guy tied up and everything. Yeah,
And you want to know also, this is very similar to his plot, because his plot is to release this smiley gas throughout the nation through products and stuff like that. Where in Batman Begins, Ra's al Ghul plans to put it in the water system, to put the Scarecrow stuff in the water system.
Damn it, Chris! Can you pronounce it correctly?
So,
Ra's al Ghul. It's not
Ra's al
Roz.
Ghul.
That sounds like Roswell or something. Like it's not Roz.
Ra's al
No. He goes by both. Some people call him Roz,
Yes.
accentuate a Z. Ra's al Ghul.
we'll
or
call him
Ra's al Ghul.
R-A-G.
But no S.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Ra's. But no, it's a very similar plot to where he's like, I'm gonna use the products and push it out there so all of Gotham will have smiles, and that's what Ra's al Ghul wanted to do.
Thank you.
As well. So I don't know. Hey, Nolan, where'd you get your idea from?
I'm watching this early one again. I am starting to see some comparisons as we're pointing out. It's interesting. And it's like were those throwbacks by Christopher Nolan? If they were indeed kind of him using it, or were him stealing old ideas? I don't know. I don't want to think like that though. I like to think.
I won't say stole.
Yeah. I think
things can be inspired, or things just be similar.
Agreed.
Which is in.
Can we just appreciate the old school fact that that we're still showing actual physical newspapers with headlines right here, and then the fact that he requests information on Jack Napier and Alfred hands him an actual physical file of paperwork. See, nowadays it would just be a scene of somebody looking something up on a computer. Yeah, or something like that, hacking into the police database network, and I don't know. It's just very. Oh, nobody's wearing makeup.
Yeah,
although I think nobody's supposed to wear makeup, but doesn't Vicky Vale still? Of course, they need to keep Kim Basinger looking great, and she still shows up in full makeup this whole movie, right? They wouldn't have your leading lady look like that newscaster just looked. But.
Well, it's kind of funny because they did it as it's kind of like a joke, but. The newscasters don't have makeup on; they look all raggedy. Well, everyone else still looks great though. So Billy D's using some hair product.
Yeah,
so,
Billy D's using.
So interesting thing here. And I'd be curious, Martin. We see this. You guys know we see this happen so often, where a character with a different race plays a character in a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Billy D. Williams, Harvey Dent was not black in the comic books.
Yeah.
So I gotta wonder if there was a lot of controversy back then of
interesting.
fans always want the
I feel like the there wasn't that big of a controversy because Harvey Dent wasn't that big of a character to the mainstream audience.
In this movie to the fan base though, that's what I'm alluding to.
Right, to the fan base possibly, yeah.
There might have been a lot, but there shouldn't be and he played him great for what it was, but it was a small character.
More makeup on the makeup.
Makeup on the makeup.
Probably not as hard as actually taking it off, just putting it on. I would have loved to see Billy D as Two-Face. I've been so, but you know, it was sort of corrected. The Lego Batman movie, they brought back Billy D. Williams to voice Harvey Dent. Yeah,
that's right.
Yes, which was amazing. The Lego We should do the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, we should.
Podcast. I love that.
We
That
should
movie
do
was
Lego
so funny. I don't know. That movie
be
cracks me up.
Season 2, Unique Visions.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, we got to get into some animated stuff. Let's do the animated Batman movie. You know, the things I haven't seen. Let's do it.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
That was a very interesting point you just brought up, Ryan, and great response, Chris. Because if like we as African Americans don't have a lot of characters who are mainstream black, so we wouldn't even know if a character was something whitewashed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, we wouldn't even know.
Well, I think you saw it in the Hunger Games with that girl, that young actress who played that not totally integral role, but the one that really throws Jennifer Lawrence's character off the wall to like really start, you know, and there was so much backlash about it. I remember in the news of like fans of Hunger Games who were just so mad it was an African American actress, and it's just like, you know what? It shouldn't be about race.
Matter.
It shouldn't matter. Just get someone who's going to play the role well. That's all I care about. You know?
See, I mean, I feel like if the character is set like, for instance, like a Luke Cage, that character is set in Harlem. He fights for like black cultural like advances in his neighborhoods. Yes, those characters do deal with race.
Yes,
but as far as like just generally. Like we have a Nick Fury. I mean, I don't know if there's a big uproar about Samuel L. Jackson playing Nick Fury. I think
you know what, there are some. I don't remember there being too much, but maybe a little bit. But some characters, you know what, I couldn't see a white Luke Cage. That would be weird.
But they had changed Nick Fury to be black in the comics before that.
Well, what I was about to say,
there was two versions of him.
Right? I would not have a problem seeing a black Batman. I don't have a problem with that. Like I don't mind you. I think you can change that up. You know, you can mix those kind of things.
Talking about Idris Elba for James Bond or something.
I'd be down.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Whatever, I'm down.
But some characters.
But the thing is, James Bond does. I mean, I don't think James Bond deals with race at all.
No, as long as he's British.
Not really. He deals a lot more with sexual innuendos.
As long as he's British, you're right.
Here we go. Here comes is it the Prince? Here's his famous scene, the boom box, rocking the boom box.
And he's wearing purple, which is like a throwback to purple.
Apparently,
what was the song?
Prince.
Purple Rain, yeah.
Purple Rain.
Well, I guess
Rain,
Tim Burton was really against this idea, and like, but
I can see that too.
You had to do the tie. They almost had like Michael Jackson do songs, George Michael.
Really?
And I guess like this was the producer's idea, and just Prince was obviously huge at this point, and I don't know, Tim Burton wasn't crazy about it.
So people who don't necessarily work in Los Angeles or know about the industry out here, you know, artists want to be able to have control. Like there's a difference between an artist and then someone who just comes in and just turns out things for the machine that's television or movies, you know what I mean? So it makes sense that Tim Burton, a true artist, wouldn't want something so commercialized in his product.
Right.
Yeah.
This does kind of date this movie immediately. Right. You know what I mean? It's like all of a sudden you have contemporary music in it. Like that had not been the case during this movie previously, and now all of a sudden you have Prince with the giant boombox. I love it.
So, go ahead.
One more thing I was just gonna say is Jack Nicholson is apparently a huge admirer of art and a big art fan, and this scene made him very, obviously these are not the real piece of art, but still made him very uneasy.
Wait, what did he say? Since he's a fan of art, Chad, what picture was that? Was that looks like a? That's not a. No, that's not
I don't know the significance of that. I'm not 100%
sure. It wasn't so much significant in the sense that I think it was just a very stylized for what Joker would want, something chaotic and you know, disgusting. That's why he wanted. But I was gonna say this really has there's no message here to the movie. I just wanted to explain this in the comic book world. In the beginning of this scene, the Joker signs the piece of art. And signing comic books is a very unique element to the comic book collecting industry. A lot of people who consider themselves purists don't like it. They think it ruins the comic. But CGC, the grading company, has kind of turned it into something over the years where it can be something that can really give value to comics, like getting Stan Lee's signature or something. So it's an interesting topic.
I always thought signing your shit was like when I was 5, I had my little signature that I used to put on my drawings. Even the artist had just made my logo for my company. I was like, "Where the hell's your signature at?"
Well, back in the day, in the mid the 1960s and up, when the comics when people were signing, Jack Kirby, Bob Kane, they would sign on the splash page. the interior page. Nowadays, it's always on the cover. So a
Yeah.
lot of people don't like that, but I don't have a problem with it. But it's an interesting thing.
Do you think, now we've talked in the past too, you, Chad, have talked about, like, if parents just knew what those comics were going to be worth, they wouldn't have, like, if people would have known
but you
and foresaw the future.
You don't even have to go that far back. Like,
Really?
early 2000s, you could have been collecting books that would have made you hundreds of thousands of dollars that you could have bought for maybe 10 or 20 grand.
Do people just hold on to everything now just in case?
Probably.
Like, we've talked about this before,
Yeah.
but, like, you never know what's going to be Marvel, like Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios is going to decide to make into the next franchise, or
they
DC.
do.
It could be 10, 15 years from now, and then that stuff's going to be worth a lot, so people just don't get rid of stuff now, I would imagine,
But,
you know?
but yeah, people think you got to go back to, like, the 60s, 70s, 80s to do it. All-Star Comics #8, first ever appearance of Wonder Woman, you could have bought a mid-grade copy of that for, like, let's say a 670 grade for probably about 20, 30 grand in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
That goes for about $150,000 to $200,000 now in that grade.
Wow.
So just put that into perspective. Like, it's not even that long ago. But the
Wonder
industry
Woman's
is just
really
shot
big
up.
now, yeah.
Well, the movie helped out with that.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Like,
Gal
is
Gadot.
there a huge influx of, like, Wonder Woman and Black Panther comics that now?
Yes, I'd say it helped out with the modern role too. Like, you see a lot more of their stuff coming out for reading and everything.
Captain Marvel will probably be
Marvel,
next. That'll be next, yeah.
Dude, that's going to be and that comes out. That's like the first huge superhero film next year.
March,
It's like
I think.
March,
It's in
yeah.
March,
Yep, comes out right before Avengers, the fourth one, which I would love to know what the title of that's going to be, but we don't know.
When are
yet.
they going to reveal it? When are they
I
going
don't
to
know.
reveal it? you think?
Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, right, Chris.
I mean,
Oh, maybe.
If Fast and the Furious 5 was released during the Super Bowl commercial, then
We'll see.
which reminds me, no, I'll save this for the Batmobile.
Yeah.
I'll save it.
So the Joker's
Wait,
kind
we've
of
not seen have we seen the Batmobile? in this
No.
movie?
We have
not
Wow,
gotten it yet.
we're
Nope.
way into this movie.
we
We're
do get
just
it
Wow,
eventually, but
we've not
yet.
seen the Batmobile?
I know.
We're at about our midpoint.
So the Joker's kind of flirting with Vicky Vale a little bit, but she's not really having any of it. So, and she throws water in his face. We get a little bit of a throwback to Wizard of Oz.
A
I'd
Wizard
say.
of Oz, I'm melting.
Yeah.
Which, 1939?
Oh, is that right? It was a
Wizard of Oz was 1939.
Wasn't
Was
it?
that Batman's first appearance?
That was Batman's
Same
first
year.
appearance.
Wow.
Whoa, I didn't even realize
Interesting.
that.
Same year.
that is very interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, so now we have the white
Oh, here
over
we go.
regular
Oh.
color? I'm so confused.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, the makeup team should have been nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
Agreed. Oh, I love the technology they used for the way they
good.
did his like weaponry in this movie.
I'm so into this moment, whatever this moment is.
Whatever this moment is, he's saving the damsel and zip-lining through the art museum. That's what
Batman's
that moment
moment.
is.
It's the kind of moment you want to see in a superhero movie.
'Cause this is
Where
what,
does he get those wonderful toys? Yeah.
this is only our second appearance of Batman here, right?
Yeah, here you go.
I think so.
There's your Batman.
God, that's
Wow.
crazy. How
A
long
second
in the
appearance
movie?
of Batman?
No. He's in
No,
the
no,
opening
no.
scene. He was in the Bat scene. Oh, here's the Batmobile for the first time.
Yeah, this is the
Oh,
first
man.
time we see a Batmobile.
Okay.
You're right. We've not
No,
seen
he's-
Batman that much an hour into an
Well, he was in
actual
the first.
Batman
He was in
movie.
the first. He was in the bat scene where he kills Napier.
Yeah.
So,
Remember,
so
we
3 or
didn't
4
see the
times.
first, like, Christopher Nolan pull the Jaws on us, and we didn't see the first Batman the first Bruce Wayne in a suit as Batman for, like, what, 35, 40 minutes, something like that?
Something like that.
Okay, now I said I never really watched this movie as a kid, but I actually had like one of those die-cast metal like little versions of the Batmobile from this movie that I used to play with when I was a kid, like this exact
Yeah,
car
me
right
too.
here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is
This-
great.
So,
This might be my second favorite Batmobile.
So I just want to show you guys. So the first ever appearance of the Batmobile was actually in Batman number 20 in 1943/44, and here's what it looks like. It's kind of funny on the cover. It's a bit stylized.
Nice.
It
I like the
doesn't-
big. That almost looks like Black Panther.
What
on
year
the
is
front.
that?
Yes.
Yeah, what year?
1949.
Yeah.
That looks like the cartoon.
I'm sorry, 43/44. It does look more like the cartoon.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, so for my
Does kinda
street
look like Batman
racer,
right there.
my street racer fans out there, all my friends in San Diego, the Batmobile, the headlights on the Batmobile are from a Civic in the 80s, flipped upside down. If you're looking at it right now, and Tim Burton apparently wanted the lights to be white, or excuse me, yellow, but they were white. So what they ended up doing was painting yellow over the lens. And that's exactly what we used to do when we were younger with our Civics. When we wanted those amber lights and amber side pieces, we would just paint over it. So there's a Civic in that Batmobile.
So you said this is your second favorite Batmobile. What's your first? Tumbler or
Tumbler.
okay? I love the '60s Batmobile with the red. Oh, this is cool with the armor all coming up on the Batmobile. This is
So no one
great.
can crack it until
So
you come
it
back
looks
for
like-
it later.
Just so you guys know, it looks like in 2013, the original Batmobile actually sold at auction in Arizona for Oh wait, that's from the television.
From this
Wow.
movie? Oh,
no,
from
the
the TV
television.
show?
That's what for 4.62
Well,
million.
Warner
but
Brothers still has
I'm
copies of all this. If you go on the Warner Brothers tour, also there's the
But is this
car
one sold?
museum, and they have a lot of the older Batmobiles,
Yes.
including the '60s one. They have this one. They have a tumbler. It's pretty cool to get to
Yes,
see those.
I actually did see that recently.
Yeah, it's great.
Chad, you've taken me on every single tour
Yep.
of the studio you worked at,
Yep.
except for
Sony?
no.
I showed you on Sony?
You haven't taken me yet. You just started there though. You haven't taken me on Batman, or not Batman, on a Warner Brothers tour.
Well, I don't work there anymore, Martin.
And my roommate was a tour guide at Warner Brothers, and I still haven't seen. And I currently work with Warner Brothers,
but
and I still haven't been on the studio.
When I showed you around Paramount, we got one of the most epic photos ever, which we should post to the Cape Seat Free account. Martin and I jumped off the fountain in front of Paramount in little like ninja poses in midair. It's one of the greatest pictures I think I've
You were
ever
a
been a
ninja.
part of.
I was a Power Ranger.
It's all in the mindset of what. But I believe the caption was "Hi-ya" when it was posted on Facebook.
That's like 2000.
I'm sorry I didn't show you on Warner Brothers.
2012.
But, yeah, we'll get to that.
So in 2016, this version of the car was actually for sale in Russia for $1.1 million.
Russia?
So you could have got the Batmobile. Someone in Russia owned it. You could have got it for $1.1 million.
Putin's got it in his garage now.
Wow, it actually had 550 horsepower.
Holy
Damn.
crap.
A big block Ford 460 V8 providing power for a top speed of 156.
I mean, how much did it weigh?
Whoa.
It had 14,000 miles on the odometer.
Who's this guy?
I'm not sure, but it must have weighed a decent amount.
It's interesting. So, remember we were talking about how big karate is in 80s and 90s movies?
Oh, yes!
Karate just shows up
you
out
had
of
to
nowhere.
insert martial arts into every movie, and this guy with his spinning katanas, like blade style. Whoa, this is intense.
Clearly, Batman's a good fighter.
And Batman just punches him. He should just pull like an Indiana Jones and just like pull out a gun and shoot him.
Batman
that would not have been Batman, though.
I know.
As we've explained before, Batman early in the comics did actually use guns, and I think he actually
Yes.
even did kill people. But as the story progressed, they stopped doing that. So Batman does not kill people; he does not use guns.
And they use it. And when you go Flashpoint with Thomas Wayne,
He does
He
use
comes to
guns.
Batman. You see that he uses guns.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Those were great, very subtle, like actual visual effects they had to do in the 80s. Those were, actual visual effects they had to do with the armor coming on and coming off the Batmobile, but they work really well.
Probably gave someone a lot of stress behind the computer.
I don't even think it was a computer. They may have actually done that with like an optical printer or something.
Guys, after you mentioned the whole thing about how he can't turn his head, I now look at this so differently. Like every time I see him, I'm waiting for him to turn his whole body to do
Which
something.
is why Bruce's conversation with Fox in The Dark Knight, or was it the third one? That he's like, I wish I could turn my head. I think that's
a little reference to it,
backing. It would make backing out of the driveway more easy.
Yes.
No, I think
Wait, which one are you talking about?
The Dark Knight.
That's what
the conversation
he
he had with
redesigns
Fox.
the costume a little bit so he could turn his head.
But who had the conversation?
Christian
Bale?
Fox, yes. With
Lucius
Oh,
Fox.
I thought you were talking about with not the Michael Keaton, but like the third one with like Val Kilmer. I thought you meant that one. Oh, so Christian Bale by then. Gotcha.
Well, I would have to say, anytime anyone refers to Batman 1, 2, or 3, they're talking about Nolan's.
For the most part.
So Batman's driving her to the Batcave, right?
Yes.
So at least, unlike Batman Begins, like the main woman is not like tripping balls like Katie Holmes was in Batman Begins.
Tripping balls like Chad at the festival he went to.
The Halloween Horror Nights. Let's not even get into that again. That was one of the most horrifying experiences of my life.
She really looks like Catwoman from the show there, from Gotham.
Oh.
Doesn't she? Look at her makeup. Look at her face.
Really dark.
I think Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman actually looked a lot more like the girl who plays Catwoman.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah,
Actually,
by
far.
Yeah, it's almost
I got
like
the
an
similarities
exact
when I saw
replica.
her as a kid. Yeah. It's like a kid version of.
Wait,
Yeah,
is
no,
this going to be the first time we see the Batcave?
No, wasn't he in it earlier when he was looking at
we
the
kind of see a little bit of it.
The first wide.
We saw it with the rewind when he was like looking at the surveillance.
And we talked about this with Batman Begins, but the Adam West show, I loved the entrance to the Batcave where like the little like barrier came down and they went in and if you're in Los Angeles, you can go to Bronson Caves in part of Griffith Park or whatever and go to the actual little cave entrance they used for that show, which is really fun to see. But
huge regret of my life, by the way, was never meeting Adam West. I had chances and I didn't do it. I wish I did.
He seemed like a good guy. I'm a big Family Guy fan. I thought he played the mayor for 15 seasons or whatever on that show, and he was so funny and so weird.
So we got actual bats in here too, which I like. It really
it's a real bat cave.
It's a real bat cave, yeah.
Right. Well, we talked about this during Batman Begins. It's the only Batman movie where he actually summons bats as part of his abilities, and how come that doesn't come up more often? That's pretty cool. I don't know.
It is cool. In the '60s Adam West one, I'm sure if there were bats in the Batcave, it was probably weird plastic things.
Oh, they couldn't.
People were
they did not have the
yeah.
ability to probably little rubber bats on strings.
Yeah. So I appreciate this. God, man, his eyes are so dark there. That's awesome.
The lighting, it's just complete overhead lighting. You cannot see his eyes at all. And
you can.
Well, he's doing it on purpose, so he can be able to. Because she keeps trying to look at him to see who he actually is.
He looks more like a monster than he does.
That's freaky. Yeah, it's really freaky right here. The lighting.
Got to give it to Tim Burton. He was impeccable in the way he shot things.
So he's got some computers and stuff.
It
looks for
80s
this is
super advanced.
Yeah, well,
for 89.
And I think
he's supposed to have the more advanced technology.
I think in this movie he's kind of more considered a millionaire than a billionaire. I don't think he was really considered a billionaire.
So in 20 years he'll have to be a trillionaire.
Right, exactly.
When they redo Batman again.
Weren't millionaires big back then? It was a millionaire.
Careful, kicking that. Yeah, so I don't know.
Did Ryan say I went to the bathroom?
No, I didn't. I didn't mention
No, you didn't bring that up.
I brought it up. Great.
You dry snitched on yourself.
Yeah, this has to be
bats.
First time we've seen bats?
Way knocks her out.
Yeah, I think so.
We saw one a little bit earlier, but yeah.
Got it.
Batman Begins, they don't waste any time showing bats. 2 minutes into that movie, he falls in and...
She wakes up with them.
And she's holding her boob.
So
she has
there are a
film,
lot of
and she took
similarities. You're
pictures
right. There are a lot of similarities between Batman Begins here.
Well,
Rachel being knocked out.
I mean, it's the first Batman movie in each series, so yeah, probably took some cues.
Yeah.
What's this actor's name?
This is Robert Wool.
He plays Arliss, right, from that series on HBO?
Exactly, yeah.
I watched a little bit of that, but...
He got big. He was big. He got big around this time with Arliss, and he showed up in a lot of movies and stuff. It's like a comic kind of actor.
Yeah, I remember him in a lot of stuff, Chris.
See, it's such an old movie cliche. You just see the headline on the the paper boy with the newspaper on the newsstands. Nowadays it'd be somebody I don't know, loading a website or something, or
on their phone,
or on TV even. I mean, we just see a little bit of the action news here, but it's such a you don't see the stack of newspapers being dropped at the newsstand anymore. It's kind of a very nostalgic kind of thing now.
Or how kids get their news now from World Stars.
Or everybody gets their alerts on their phones or something. Who knows.
I almost wonder if they called him Bob the Goon as a kind of for Bob Kane,
Possibly,
giving a little credence to Bob Kane. I don't know, maybe. I don't remember.
Where's
Bob the
Bill?
Goon
Where's Bill the Goon?
Where's Bill the Goon? Right. There should have been both Bill and Bob the Goon.
So was Burton an actual fan of the comic?
Apparently, no. I don't think he was I don't think him or Michael Keaton were familiar.
Honestly,
at all.
when is any director ever a fan? For Superman Returns, what's his name? Bryan Singer. He wasn't into the comic. He had to get into. I mean, can you think of one director that was really into the comic? Maybe Kevin Smith, who was going to do the Superman movie that never happened. But
Joss Whedon, was he not?
I don't think so. I think he had to get into it.
Josh Whedon.
Josh.
Same thing.
Instead of Joss Whedon.
No, I guess.
Okay, Joss Gate just happened.
I don't think Michael Keaton was familiar, but they gave him the first year of Batman comics from 39 to 40 or something before. Was it before the Joker appeared? Because the Joker didn't appear for a year or something. It was whatever.
Joker appeared in 1940.
Okay, so maybe it was the first year or something. They Tim Burton, so he could get familiar with it from that. But
so what do you think Nolan would have given Bale in terms of because if they gave Keaton the early Batman stuff, because this is going to be kind of more comedic and kind of more serious, what would Christopher Nolan would have given? This is a question for Ryan. What would he have given? It's this is what you want to. Was it that?
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I
Dark
mean
Knight
she
series?
first appeared in Batman 49 once again, which was early on in the Golden Age. So there was definitely, it's not like she's a new character. I don't know Vicky Vale that way. I don't know that character, and I don't think most people really think of her anymore beyond this movie. I don't think we've gotten her in anything other than this movie. So
yeah, I think I didn't explain my question right. What do you think
okay.
Christopher Nolan would have given Christian Bale as reference material for his trilogy?
Oh, his Batman.
Yeah.
And I think, Chris, did you reference the Dark Knight series from Frank Miller? Is that what you were saying a second ago?
I was going to say year one.
Year one. He's a little old in year one, and he's still young in the first one, so I don't think year one would have been it. And the Dark Knight was really more Batman versus Superman, so I don't know. That's a good question. I still feel like it's the original Batman. Like, I feel like Christopher Nolan could have given Christian Bale, like, early Batman stuff.
We see a little bit of a different Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins, which we talked about. He's kind of getting a little... I mean, he's supposed to still be sort of young, but he's, like, kind of getting older and beat up, and you just see how,
by the third one.
rough he is in the morning. You see a little bit of that in Batman Begins, too, right? Alfred's preparing his shakes, and he's all, like, bruised and beat up and stuff, and it's kind of, like, taking a toll.
I thought you meant by an age factor. I mean, he's still young in the first one.
Right, but I mean, you can kind of see the toll it's taking on him, which you don't see as much in the physical toll in this one.
No, you don't.
I'm wondering also, do you think that it's better for a director to not be a fan, so like they can try different things if they kind of go in a little bit more unfamiliar and they can take more risks rather than like being a slave to the material? I don't know.
I mean, I think so.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, until they treat it like Wolverine Origins, until they treat it like X-Men Origins Wolverine, where they just do stuff because it'll make it a bigger movie instead of staying true to the comic. Well, that's the problem with obviously the Wade Wilson Deadpool thing. He was like, it'll just be a cool bad guy to make him have all these superpowers to fight against Wolverine.
All right, Chris. I was going to say that fanboys all over the world were going to like hate us right now because you know how often they say that I wish the director had more like knowledge of the source material. Yep. And they reference Zack Snyder.
I was about to do that myself.
I was going to too.
For Watchmen.
Chris,
it depends on the director.
That was a great answer, Chris.
Yeah, it does.
I
just think it's about finding a happy medium, and that does not happen as often as you would think because you could go that Kevin Smith route where he knows the source material so well, he may stay too true, and you're kind of going to lose all the non-base audience. Kind of like Zack Snyder did with Watchmen, where he had the base, but all the people that didn't know the Watchmen.
So he was too familiar.
He was too into
I actually like Watchmen.
Watchmen.
I wasn't familiar with it at all. Of course.
But I like Watchmen too, but I can understand why it wasn't as big.
Is Watchmen in your top 5?
Success.
Oh, I think it's close. Yeah.
No.
Watchmen's a cool movie.
I love Watchmen.
It's in my top 5.
I enjoy it.
If you go back to the Thought Junkies.
It is not in my top 5, but I said it's close. It's up there. I love Watchmen. But anyway, to answer the question, I think it's better to have a director who's not too into the source material.
Right, but okay, if you get the assignment to direct a movie, you should do your research ahead of time. Maybe if you don't have if you don't have a lifetime of being like an obsessive fan, it might be a better thing.
If you don't do your research, and that's how you get an X-Men Origins and a fucking X-Men number 3, which was the worst movie of all time.
I know.
X-Men number 3, Professor Xavier dying?
What, Brett Ratner? You throwing shade at Brett Ratner?
He wanted to make an action movie. He wanted to do things that are big. Let's just kill this guy and kill this guy, and everyone will watch it.
I think it depends on the director. You have to do your research, but I think it might. Sometimes it's good to see it through they're interpreting it through a different kind of lens, a different approach.
Yep.
But also think about the third film, right?
That was a bastardization of X-Men.
Think about studio involvement when it comes to these huge films that are their tentpole films potentially, and keeping that studio alive. What happened with the third Iron Man? You know what I mean? Look what happened.
What about the third Iron Man?
Look what happened. Favreau didn't do it.
Oh, right.
Shane Black. I like Iron Man.
Well, I guess my point is saying that if you look at it through the eyes of how much the studio might get involved with that third film, can we really always blame the directors?
No. I mean, you got to blame their choice for who they chose or what.
Yeah, the studios have a reason for going with a hot new director, somebody with a hot new take.
So I'm really just go back to the movie really quick. I've always been a little confused by this scene. Does he not get shot in the head? Or he gets grazed, maybe. Is it grazed?
Joker's pointing a gun at Bruce Wayne right now.
Yeah. Pretty sure gets shot.
Oh.
No, you're gonna get shot in the head.
A bowl of popcorn goes everywhere.
The scene before when he's hiding out, he finds a plate to hide under his arm.
Oh, well, in the Val Kilmer one, in number 3, he actually does get shot in the head, I believe, or maybe it's grazed, but I'll never forget that scene by Tommy Lee Jones' character.
What does that line mean? Never rub another man's rhubarb.
Well, because he was
world.
Yeah.
Did I miss something?
It's a fun Joker reference.
That's an odd. Oh, the guy's got the boombox again. That thug's job is just to carry the boombox around with the Joker.
He's the biggest thug too.
He's like. Well, that boombox is so huge. It's a giant 80s boombox. You need to have a big guy.
That's a Radio Raheem
whose arm won't get tired carrying that on his shoulder everywhere the Joker goes and ready to play at a moment's notice. The latest pop song.
The Joker laugh from Nicholson is one of the best, I will say.
Yes.
It's like he laughs and then like he has one of those good. Like, did he just fart?
Fart joke.
He did.
Fart joke. I love it.
He's gone.
He actually did pass that.
When he laughs, it's like he's out of breath when he laughs because he's been laughing so hard. You know what I mean?
So he expected to be shot.
Pulled a little Marty McFly under the little metal plate under the, which is a reference, of course, to Clint Eastwood.
That plate looks a little thin to block a bullet. But
Back to the Future 3.
Yeah.
Joker does use those. How did you pass out?
That's a Tim Burton. That's a Tim Burton. Reminds me of Beetlejuice right there. That she's got surprised and passed out.
Chad doesn't care about things.
What?
I care about everything.
Obviously not that.
I care about everything.
And
okay, my question is, why is there always a green lamp in a movie? That color, I remember as a designer when I would go to Universal and pick up props, there was like this whole row and like this whole section of just like green lamps with lampshades.
Name another movie with a green lampshade.
I don't know. That's a common thing. Like there were pool tables and I don't know.
I've challenged Martin and he's not producing.
I'm gonna say
in the history of cinema. Name another movie.
Name another movie. Go. Just give me one. Just give me one. I just want one.
I'm gonna give you one. It's in my head. Exorcism
After
Emily Rose.
What?
Exorcism
That's
Emily
me
Rose.
reference. I love it.
That's random.
Okay. I mean, I don't remember it, but I'll take it.
Courtroom scene. There's a green light.
Well, I would say in this scene, I believe because of his comic book style, he wanted to add color to that scene. That whole scene was very mute.
Yeah.
Except for that green lamp, which stuck out. And I mean, I feel like especially with the comic book movies, you have these like bright colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Capers.
Capers.
So, go back. Hold on. Capers. I comment if you have ever seen a movie that had a green lampshade in it. It's more than you think. It's kind of like white guys who wear blue shorts and red shirts. But anyways.
Blue shirts and black shirts.
So we
just
see
saw
that too. Comment on that
too.
So we just saw the Gotham City map. I don't think you've seen that before. It was the coolest thing. There's actually someone on eBay who's asking, I think it's like $150,000, who claims to be selling the original Gotham map. I don't know if it's from the movie.
From that movie?
I don't know if it's from the movie.
No, I think the map in this is actually the map of. It's a Canadian city. It's like Vancouver.
Oh, really?
Or something. Yeah, it's like it's a random.
No, the
city.
guy on eBay, I think he's claiming it to be the original map from the comics that it was based off of, the comic book. So I don't think anyone's ever going to buy it personally, but it's a cool piece.
Chris, what are we looking at now? What is this?
We are looking at the Joker's pissed now. So no, they're canceling the big Gotham parade because of the crime spree that the Joker has been putting out there. But he's taking over. I don't know what technology the Joker has right now, but he could take over the airwaves of every television. Apparently,
Yeah, I don't know
It's
how he's
very
doing
V
that
for
either.
Vendetta.
yeah.
Jack Nicholson's a national treasure. Like he hasn't really been in a movie in 8 years now or so. The Bucket List or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But when
been a long time.
the thing is,
It's been
when
a long
he
time.
shows up in
God,
the
I
movie,
can't believe
everyone's
that.
waiting.
Well, he
for
was
him.
supposed to be. They were
Everyone wants
remaking that foreign film Tony Erdmann, and he was supposed to be in that, but he just dropped out. So now we don't know what his next acting role, or if he will have another acting role. But we gotta treasure these people still around. We just lost Burt Reynolds a couple days ago.
Yesterday, right?
And he was supposed to kind of have a new big role in Tarantino's new movie, but he didn't get a chance to film that yet. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
He was 82 or 92?
82.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
yeah, it was kind of
$1 million, that's a lot of
unexpected.
money.
But
He must
But,
be a billionaire too.
I'd love to get a couple more Jack Nicholson movies while he's still around.
Oh, that swipe though.
Yeah.
That swipe was amazing. Sorry.
Old school.
That was great film effects.
The Big Dukaroo. Don't know what that means, but
He wants to fight the Batman.
It's so crazy how this Joker loves to be in the spotlight directly, whereas Ledger's Joker liked being in the spotlight, but didn't need to claim that. He didn't need to claim.
he didn't need it.
You know what I mean?
He just wanted chaos.
Right.
I mean, this is all the Joker always wants chaos, but
I don't think when we do the Dark Knight, probably season 2. I'm guessing season 2.
It is season 2.
Will we?
It will be season 2.
Probably season 2.
Season 1. Yeah.
the freeze frame on the blinking Joker.
Yeah.
We're gonna have so much to
Gump.
talk about with the Dark Knight. It's like it's in all of our top 5.
Guys, it's the
So
glasses
calling out
again. It's
Batman.
Batman with the glasses. I don't remember when he had his bad eyesight.
And this is here.
This is cool
our
to see
flashback.
him. Oh, this is the flashback right here with the newspaper.
This is the flashback via
It's the
newspaper.
actual real,
to his parents being murdered.
Yes.
I mean, what's this? Are we in the third act yet?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think this is where the third act begins.
That's cool. Like, that's very old school, where you don't necessarily understand something very pivotal to a character as such as the death that drives them. Like, I feel like you wouldn't understand that or get that revealed to you as a patron until like the third acts in older films.
Guys.
Nowadays, you have to get that out right away in order to grab our attention.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is.
We do get the flashback.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
We
I
do
thought
get
got
the
it.
parents' death
It just
flashback.
didn't
Well,
happen
see,
so much
he
later.
said that line, which is the line that
Yeah.
made him reminded him that, oh wow, he heard that line before.
So this is not quite as weird. Batman Begins. I gotta say, I know he leaves because he's scared, but they exit through like the weird, sketchy back alley. At least this is like them leaving the show afterwards. Like I don't know, like
We had that guy comment on our YouTube. He was like, he said the same thing, like, leaving, you're the richest person ever.
Right,
and
you
then
leave
to
the back alley. like go through the lobby. Like
right.
see, this
Call
they've
your
had a
Uber,
fun
right?
show.
Well, and here they are
I
like
don't know.
through the back
Oh, I
alley.
mean, they're
also.
going through a back alley here, but it's a normal. I mean, it don't look that normal.
Yeah.
It looks like there's nobody on the street.
Just like in cinema, like, this is a good device that these filmmakers use, because in cinema, you're only allowed one coincidence when you're watching movies, and it happens to be this huge coincidence, I think, that Jack Napier... Was Jack Napier that killed the parents?
It was, yeah.
But this is just they're not targeted. This is just a random robbery,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. So there's that one coincidence that you have,
Jack Napier was young.
and this coincidence happens to be so big.
Bruce,
why do we-
why do we
with
fall?
the devil in the pale moonlight? I think they did like a slow motion aspect to the way he said it because he sounded really weird.
Yeah.
Oh, they actually
And
cast
if,
another act.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
See, nowadays they would have Jack Nicholson and they would digitally de-age him, but that
Right.
guy actually, you can tell that's supposed to be
Oh yeah. No.
Jack Nicholson. Good casting.
So did he say that line before?
Well, he said that right before he shot Bruce Wayne in the house.
He
That's
did.
what said
That's
that
what's
line.
he's making the connection now.
Yeah.
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 And so that's why.
Okay.
So it actually leads to the flashback, which the flashback wasn't just thrown in.
Yeah.
Which is, one thing I like about
Great.
the
Independent
structure of
filmmakers.
filmmaking.
And the
But
filmmakers study
with
that.
this thing right here, you just gonna throw his secret out there? Just bring Vicky Vale in the house?
Right?
He does mention this in Batman
Would
Returns.
you ring the doorbell outside in the bushes? Like
In
how?
Batman Return, he does make a comment about how, like, hey, you just like bring her in the house. Hey, I'm Batman. Just throw his secret away. He makes a comment about Batman Returns. When we get to that, I'll bring that up.
Alfred doesn't even care.
Do they even have an explanation of this? Like Batman Begins, they talk about how it was old, like what Underground Railroad tunnels or so. I don't know something
No,
like
I don't think we get any
in Batman
explanation about
Begins
it in
for
this
why there was this giant cave system of passages
Yeah,
underneath.
you're right.
Like
That's what I mean about earlier. Like, there's new
Yeah.
movies, you have that scene
you have
in
to
between the two
explain
scenes.
stuff now. I don't know. People are much more critical now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they kept the story simple. Yes, they stuck to the plot and a little bit of like set up for the character and whatever. But that's all you need to go. You kept the movie going. Now
Yeah.
they have to do more intricate plots, and there's always like backstories and double things going on, and which is good sometimes. But you don't need to overstate. You don't need to overstate why someone's a Jedi sometimes.
Right. That's crazy. Like, going off and like, I was listening to the Elon Musk and Joe Rogan podcast yesterday, and as you just see how far humans have advanced in terms of the way that they think and in the way that they expect things. And I don't know, man. It's just like, I just see the way we expect so much from movies nowadays, and you go back and you look at something like this and you understand that all you need is this scene to establish this and this scene to move the plot forward. You don't need those in-between scenes anymore. That's I don't know.
What?
It just makes me marvel at how quickly the brain accepts things and moves on and craves and wants more.
Well, especially in comic book movies, because there's a lot of things that aren't practical. That wouldn't actually work in real life. A lot of the newer movies, they try to make it more realistic to where, hey, if this was really Superman, this and like in Man of Steel, if there was a real Superman, this would happen. If they actually had a fight, it would destroy half the city.
And that's what I love about Man of Steel.
That's what I love about it too. Yes, but the thing is like in comics, they don't talk about the practicalities of that stuff. They don't talk, and with the earlier superhero movies, they were coming more off the comics. It was a little bit more make these cinematic comics, but they didn't have to go into detail of why and explain all this stuff. Where now,
which maybe explains why a lot of people who don't like Man of Steel, maybe that's part of where it's derived from.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things.
And someone doesn't like Man of Steel.
So Chad is in the bathroom, and he doesn't like Man of Steel, so we can talk as much shit about him as we want.
Man of Steel's great. I mean,
but
I'm not gonna say Harry Cavill's the best Superman, but I think I like it.
It was an interesting casting choice, but I have enjoyed him, to be honest.
I think Ben
I can
Affleck.
see why.
Ben Affleck was the best Superman.
Oh yes.
right. Anybody?
Okay, yes.
Hollywoodland.
Yes. Hollywoodland. Yeah.
Come on, give it to me.
We'll throw that in season 3.
Chad, how many superheroes has Ben Affleck played?
Well, you got
2. Daredevil and Batman. Did I miss?
Good job, Mark.
Good job.
Good job. You threw him off.
See that, guys?
Oh, and I heard you guys talking about Man of Steel.
Dot Junkie.
Yes, we'll revisit that, I'm sure.
He
but
also played Superman.
I did.
Dot
I was
Junkie
not
1.
a fan of Man of Steel, but
Dot Junkie 1. Resident Movie Nerd 0.
what did I mess up?
Hollywood.
How many superheroes has Ben
Ben
Affleck
Affleck
played?
Am I missing one that's not Daredevil or Batman?
Superman
He played Superman.
in Hollywoodland.
Well, technically he was playing George Reeves, but let's
Let it slide.
He had the Superman outfit on.
Okay, I don't
That's true,
count
he
that.
did.
He's playing the actor that played Superman.
I like to say that.
I win.
I'm not completely wrong there.
I like to say this. We're back to Prince again. There's a Prince.
I was going to say, is that a Prince
more
song?
Prince?
Yeah, but the thing is, Prince released a huge soundtrack at this time, and it had tons of movie quotes mixed in with the songs. And so when I watched this, because when I would listen to that soundtrack a lot, so when I watched this, I would hear all those like the Vicky Vales and he would add these in the songs, the Dance of the Devil in the Pale Moonlight. You listen to that soundtrack. If you can, after this, you go listen to that soundtrack. I think it's like the perfect compliment to Tim Burton to Tim Burton's Batman.
Yeah.
Like when hearing about like how Tim Burton didn't want Prince, I'm like, wow. I was surprised about that because I feel like it's the perfect mode. It's the perfect move for contemporary music.
Well, Prince was either Prince or Michael Jackson at the time would have been the biggest.
But I guess Prince's like artistic. His artistry, I guess, felt it would match this more.
Yeah,
it's like dark and fun. And
I can see that. Yeah, you're right. Because it's hard to look at this movie through the lens of someone who lived in that time. And if we lived in that time, we would understand exactly what you're saying, how big Prince was. It's like when you think about Batman v Superman or Justice League, maybe they're going to at some point look at the choices that were made here and like, why would they do that? Like, 15 years in the future, we'll look back at the later DC stuff and like, I don't know, even the Marvel stuff, we might like question some of the decisions that were made.
Why weren't there popular music songs?
Right.
The hottest artists inserted in here, which is probably
good.
But.
So what if the Sentinels are suddenly more huge and we're like, why didn't we see the Sentinels in the first X-Men or the second X-Men?
Well, you know something?
It's like the Batwing.
It's like when you said before that they didn't want to that it was a big risk to do this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the big superhero movies after Superman like was finished.
Right.
So the studio's gonna like pad their like they're gonna do everything they can. Hence, put in a big star as doing contemporary music for it to help promote the movie.
Right.
So what was that? Was that like a small little airplane caricature? Like what?
What was that?
The
The Batwing?
Yeah, but how did they do that?
Do you know when the comics history of the Batwing? Did he fly?
I'm not sure when that came. Yeah, if it did, it probably came to a little while. But
Washington.
But how did they shoot that? Was it like a little mini?
It
plane?
must have been a miniature. Yeah. Well, Nolan waited to Dark Knight Rises to actually show Batman flying some aircraft and stuff. Is that FAA approved? Like, I don't even know.
Well, and then I'm curious. So I when I first came out here, I did a little background work, and I think our pay scale was 8 an hour. What do you think all these background actors made back then?
Like, back then it was probably even less. Yeah,
I know.
Oh, yeah. Was there? Did they have representation as a unit?
I don't know if they. I doubt
central
they did.
casting. Yeah, I don't know.
Was that around back then?
Yeah.
I doubt it. Maybe.
Well, this is in England too, so I don't know how it works over there.
Yeah,
they were offered fish and chips.
Right.
Well, they probably thought it was cool being in the Batman movie, seeing Jack Nicholson.
Thanks. Fish and chips for the role
Well, you
of Batman.
think about like I was pretty much raised with IATSE guys from San Diego who worked on everything from theater to Titanic. There's a huge uproar about what was paid to these union guys or non-union. I don't remember the story fully, but there's huge like uproar about what they were paying them for Titanic. So just imagine.
Well, you do get paid extra if you're like in water or in snow, elements, or if you have to do nudity. There's like certain things, like whatever kind of elements they have to put you through, you'll get paid extra as a background actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it just for normal scenes. Like I mentioned earlier, I did 21, the Kevin Spacey, Lawrence Fishburne, Jim Sturgis movie. I'm also a background actor in The Great Debaters, directed by Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
You can see me in that. Did an episode of CSI New York. So I did a few things. It's really cool. It's a cool opportunity to get to watch the process. Yeah. And then it's kind of fun trying to spot yourself, when it eventually comes out. So
right. You must have been young and hot then.
My college days with the 22-year-old bangs,
the Bruce Wayne hair.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne hair. There you go.
Like I'm listening to this music and seeing this freaking thing fly, the Batmobile or Batwing fly through the air, and it just reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah, this is great miniature model work. Yeah, it's
This is
all
when Batman's flying
kind of
through.
practical. Now, no CGI at this point. It was all kind of elements that had to be filmed physically and like kind of melded together.
Right, and if you think about it too, like the studios and their goal is profit, right? So they're gonna want to be able to create action figures. Like before this, Ryan, maybe you can help me out with this, but before this, like how much were the action figures selling? Because I feel like the '96 Clooney era Batman or even Batman Forever, that's when the toy market started to boom again when it came to comics. But like, was there a period before? Like, even if you look back to Star Wars, like, even Star Wars first came out, like, the merchandise wasn't selling. Like, there was no merchandise for that stuff, and it wasn't until later on that became big.
I mean, I think a lot of the toys you're probably going to see up at this point were from, like, the 60s kind of goofy Adam West stuff. I don't know if that stuff was selling for that much, but I don't think early Batman toys right now and think expensive. Like, nothing comes to mind. It's really the Star Wars toys, the He-Man toys, the G.I. Joe toys. Those all can be worth a decent, mainly Star Wars, but those can be worth a decent amount of money. Yeah, I don't know if Batman action figures and stuff really ever, I'm sure it has, but nothing comes to mind, at least for me. So, the modern stuff can actually be like, see now they're called statues. They don't do action figures anymore. Now it's all about statues. That's what the market's kind of turned into. These like scale size unique statues.
Yeah.
Bathroom break number 7?
No, this is 3.
It's like, I've seen a lot of the toys now. They're very detailed, but shoot, they're too detailed to play with. I feel like if I was buying those as a kid now, I wouldn't want to touch them. They'd be collector's items.
Yeah, most of the collectibles now are these like kind of like statues almost, not like actual action figures. People can display in the
So
shelves.
it's like, is that
things.
fun?
That is
I don't
what I
know.
said. Bob Gunn.
Oh no,
Bob
Bob the
Gunn
Goon's
just got
dead.
it. Why, Joker?
Because someone had to pay
Bob.
for that.
He just killed Bob Goon / Bob Kane for going.
Bob
down.
Goon says he's had his back since the beginning.
I know.
Doesn't pay to be a goon to the Joker. Just so you know.
You're never safe.
Oh yeah,
he's
this
doing
is the
some-
greatest
he's doing
scene
some
right
crazy
here.
maneuvers
This way you
with this-
stop.
Oh, there we go.
Right into the moon.
There we go, right in front of the moon.
That's called marketing. That's for marketing. That shot.
Dive
That's
bomb
when the
in
shot
city.
when the Batwing flies up into the moon just literally stops, so you see the entire bat signal with the shape of the Batwing and the moon, and it just stops there for a second, and it drops back down. There's no actual real reason for it, except for it was great to watch.
Where did Bruce Wayne get his pilot's license? This is crazy.
That's a good question.
He's doing some crazy, like, Like Top Gun
I know.
maneuvers here.
So we see a 200 here. I'm kind of curious. I've been trying to see if there might be any significance to that.
No,
but
well,
what's the...
I mean, and the thing
200?
is, it was Gotham's 200 parade.
Oh, it was.
And so
Okay.
now they canceled it, but then he decided to like have it.
200-year anniversary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's an East Coast city. It's been
That's
around
what they were
for a
going to
while.
cancel, but then he decided I'm going to do it, and then
Right.
he's going to release the gas and everything.
Oh, this is very stay on target. Stay on target.
yeah.
Very Star Wars-esque. That's
Use the force, Bruce.
use the whispers. Exactly.
Sounds
I
very
still don't
use of
get
force
this
right
scene. I don't understand how this like long gun can take down.
It's my best friend loves this scene.
Does it
now.
make
Well,
any
I
sense?
don't
Bring out the
understand
gun
how
from
he
his
didn't
pants?
shoot him.
This is almost like the Dark Knight, like hit me when he's
Yeah.
going at him with the.
I mean,
Yeah.
unless he purposely did not.
That long gun, man. So, by the way, Bruce did just use guns on the Batwing there. So
Well, he
How
always
did
uses
that
guns
pistol take out the Batwing?
I still don't get that.
He always uses guns on other machinery, but when he's physically holding a gun, right, like a
Yeah.
handheld gun. If Bruce Wayne was alive, he'd be the perfect person to live in this time to
I
combat combat.
gun issues right
gun
now.
issues, yeah.
He would.
We need a Bruce Wayne to rise up,
Ooh.
please.
Awesome
That's what we
miniature.
need
Okay,
for
that
a
shot was
show
kind of
issues.
obvious. That's a miniature.
Oh, yeah,
This
there's-
shot right
there's
here
two
of the,
cars on the left and the right.
of the crashing Batwing. Yeah.
Were we talking about Elon Musk being the closest thing we have to Batman?
Because he's the money.
Or
if you
no,
wanted
or
to.
Tony Stark or something.
Or Tony
yeah.
Stark, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like if Elon Musk announced tomorrow he
Oh,
had like
gotcha.
a flying like
Yeah.
armor suit, like be like, yeah, that sounds about
I
right.
could see him become more of an Iron Man than a Batman.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He's,
for
he,
sure.
he doesn't have all his training. No.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
an Iron Man.
He needs a Roz.
Yeah, or maybe Rubber
Raish,
Man.
Raish,
Roth Rothhouse.
Like Ross the store.
that gun looks
That
so
gun is so
unwieldy
cool.
with
That-
the
Well,
long
and it looks a lot
barrel.
is
smaller than it
comics.
did before now.
Yeah, that's
That
comics.
that's the comic.
Why does
Joker
this
with
communicator
silly
look like a
toys.
like made by Play School or something? It's like
Because that's what the Joker
Because
uses.
they're coming off the 1960s Batman, where there's a lot of goofy stuff.
Like
and
Mattel
this is
made.
this is kind of like the middle ground.
Yep.
What did Basinger do after this?
Well, L.A. Confidential later in the
It was a few years
90s.
later.
It was like 92.
She's done a
She was
bunch
in
of
Wayne's
stuff,
World
actually.
#1, I believe.
Okay.
As the kind of romantic interest to Garth.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
Well, no,
17s
that
here
was
and there.
80s, but she was in that movie with the alien, played with wasn't Dan Aykroyd in it? She's the alien in it? Yeah, there's a
I don't
movie from
remember.
the early 90s, late 80s where she plays an alien. It's like a rom-com drama.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
she's so.
She comes from like
Does
another
stuff.
universe.
She's done.
So I guess,
a lot of drama movies and serious movies too. So
That
Yeah,
wasn't me
yeah.
judging her. That was me like, I want to know
No, you were
more.
curious.
Because
Yeah.
like, and someone asked earlier about, was she like your babe magnet when you were a little kid, like the first girl you fell in love with? I don't remember her. Like I remember seeing her in 8 Mile and thinking, okay, I've seen her somewhere.
I remember her as
Oh,
a baby.
really?
Well, then we get
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah,
Michelle
I remember-
Pfeiffer
I
in the
remember
next
from here.
movie
I
in the
remember her from
tight
here.
latex that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess in this, when they were filming them walking up the cathedral, they actually hadn't finished the screenplay. They were still working on the screenplay. So like, as Tim Burton's filming this, like Jack Nicholson was asking, okay, like where are we going as we walk up? And Tim Burton's like, I don't know yet. They actually did not know.
Oh,
what-
really?
They
That's
hadn't figured out the
scary.
full finale yet while they were filming this. Yeah, it was still a work
Yeah.
in progress.
I love he's just casually walking up. Come on, man.
Yeah,
the
use your
Batman.
batarang
Right?
or
Yeah.
something.
Well, the Gatling gun or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well,
it's
this is the thing. It's like he was very vulnerable at this time. You see him, he's stumbling after getting out of that accident.
Mm-hmm.
So
But still, he has the millions of dollars worth of technology.
This reminds me of the scene with the bats that come
Bleeding.
down in the prison.
Yeah.
You know, they don't shoot scenes like this anymore. Like long time waiting for them to get up to the top. Like now, it's just like quick cut. They're at the
Oh
top.
yeah, if you're in that third act, your goal is to finish.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Fast paced.
yeah. Like I appreciate this. But then I also know like capers. I'm throwing a party tonight at my house. We're gonna watch Jaws 2 in my backyard on
You're
the
all
projector.
invited.
You're all invited.
Well, it will have
in
already happened.
the past.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
invited a week from it happening.
And we're showing Jaws 2 because Jaws 1 is a cinematic like masterpiece, but it's so slow.
By today's standards.
By today's standards, yeah. So if you're trying, like people today expect that fast third act, get to that resolution quickly, and
Which, by the way, Meg was killing it in the theaters, doing it, which I'm happy about because
I'm happy
Steve Alton,
too.
one of my favorite artists from when I was younger,
yeah,
who wrote that book.
really,
Yeah, Meg, great book.
yeah. We were trying to do a partnership a brand for the Meg, and I had to go to the movies to watch it just to make sure one of their competitors wasn't in the film. So I watched it one late night, and I was thoroughly surprised at how much story there was.
No, it was good, they did a good job for what it was.
Ooh, here goes the bell falling down.
Which kind of breaks the...
Like, back here, everything had a story, I feel like. You go back and you watch some old movies were catered to stories, whereas now they're catered to profit.
Yeah.
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 No, it's true.
Depends, but now you have a lot of
Star Wars, yes.
You do have a lot of smaller studios who can produce and release things now that aren't the major ones who like really kind of independent, like A24.
Yeah, like
some
they
of
did with The Room.
Like they do much. They will actually be more auteur works by directors and not not concerned with the commercial aspects as much. But
so there's really no connection in this movie to Lieutenant Gordon and Batman. Interestingly, I didn't realize that until.
Yeah, did they even speak during this? I don't think
they
did.
did.
It's not like where Batman Begins. You see that he consoled Bruce
from the start,
when his parents
well,
were killed.
This is the thing when Batman was unknown. That's the thing. So they don't have a relationship yet because Batman's unknown. He just comes out pretty much. I mean, at the beginning of this movie, remember when he dropped him into the vat, Commissioner Gordon's like, "Who is that? Get that guy. Stay there."
Yeah.
This is when he was just a mystery. Like half the people didn't believe he was true.
Right.
It's great. These scenes with just the silhouette, such an iconic silhouette of this costume, and just the top lighting.
When you said the word mystery, Chris, you made me think of that famous phrase from Kung Fu Panda. Tomorrow is a mystery. Yesterday was a past. That's why they call today a present.
Oh.
more martial arts. Is this the katana guy again? This is a different katana. Yep. More martial arts inserted.
Sorry, I missed that because I was still thinking about whatever the hell Ryan was just saying. Whispering to himself with his eyes closed.
It was a special moment for me. Yesterday was a mystery, tomorrow is history. Or something like that. That's why they call it the present, because it's a gift. Oh, and they're dancing.
Can you?
In the pale moonlight.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, this is where the Joker throws like all his goons at Batman, and Batman just handles them, except for that time.
Even though I like to know how all those goons got up there. There's a lot of stairs.
Where did they come from?
A lot of stairs, Batman. Okay, I've got to say, I mean, I haven't been completely watching this movie, but like, looking back at Keaton, I don't look at like my image of him with those glasses on as opposed to that same guy in the suit kicking ass.
It's different.
I don't see the correlation.
It's tough. I agree. It's hard to picture him kicking butt right now.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. But
and maybe go ahead. Maybe it's like Jinx. Maybe
Jinx.
It's just like what makes or breaks a Batman is our interpretation of Bruce Wayne. Batman's going to be kick-ass no matter what he does because he's an image, he's an icon of what he is. But that Bruce Wayne character is really going to make or break an audience and trying to figure out if they like this Batman or not.
well, when you're watching this, who do you like more? Do you like Bruce Wayne more or do you like Batman more? What do you enjoy?
Batman.
Batman?
Everybody wants to see Batman in action, you know.
I mean, honestly, I did like this Bruce Wayne. And
you did?
Yeah, I did like this Bruce Wayne. Granted, he's a little more like secluded. And not as big a playboy as
he seems more sophisticated and intelligent maybe than Christian Bale's take. But Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne, you can see that like brooding, like he's got that edge. And maybe because we know Christian Bale as a real person, a real actor, we know those stories about him blowing up and being kind of crazy. Like it, you have that. You think he can do this.
But you can't say he's not smart though, because look at all the technical stuff that Christian Bale does.
Right.
And he's a true detective.
But this Bruce Wayne wears glasses.
Well, you know what they call Batman? He's considered the best detective in the world.
Yeah.
Like he's considered the
Detective Comics.
Detective Comics. So if anyone can solve anything, it's Batman, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is why in the animated series, it's all about him solving things.
Does DC stand for Detective Comics?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Detective Comics, DC Comics.
Well, it's
of course.
I don't
just
know.
Detective Comics, but
I'm just wondering.
I'm not gonna lie.
But that's a good point. I mean,
didn't
yes,
know that before.
technically.
I'm not gonna lie.
DC Comics is Detective Comics. I've never heard anyone say that.
You didn't know that, K-Trump? Wait, you didn't know
I didn't know that. Well, maybe I did when I was younger, but I just didn't.
There we go. And we learned something today.
Oh, now she's
Right?
like, oh, I have some hope now. I'll do something.
I can see why maybe
Oh,
audiences thought this movie was a little dark. At the time, movies weren't necessarily filmed like this, and it was
Right.
very dark and a lot of silhouettes and yeah. Oh, now she's
Now she's trying to distract you.
using her lady charm to distract the Joker. Which Jack Nicholson's probably like, this
He's
is
like,
my favorite
what?
scene I filmed for this movie. We know Jack's a ladies' man. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh god, this is
Whoa.
very sexual.
This is not
Whoa! Little going down out of frame.
Batman, you cock block.
And he threw out his quote back at him about the pale moonlight.
Going to kill you. I like when his hair gets a little messed up too.
Yes.
Oh man, God.
No, this is
Joker.
and that eternal question of like, did Batman create the villains, or the villains create Batman?
Yeah.
Yep, chicken and the egg.
This Batman created the villain, but like literally,
He tried to save him.
By the way, Joker is definitely, he's got some fighting abilities in a lot of the comics, and especially
Yeah.
later on. This Joker is very like
that's
he's kind of a he tries for one punch, but it doesn't go too well.
So both of these guys, oh my god, and I love how both of these guys probably have so much admiration and respect for each other because they're both of the theatrics, you know?
Yeah.
Batman wants to use fear.
That's right.
And then you see the Joker there, like, dropping his fake teeth out of his mouth after he got hit. Obviously, that didn't happen in real life. That was a Joker, like, adding his
And
comedy
he just had
to
the
it.
pistol that had the bang come out.
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't hit a guy with glasses. Glasses, yeah.
actually, what he just said, if you notice, he just said like he brought it up and said, "Listen, you killed my parents, you made me." So
That's
they were actually
true.
toying with that
Right.
to a question,
So
as
Batman
he said.
might not exist if
So
he hadn't
Joker-
done it. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think he would have.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. But that's, I mean, in this movie, because like the true story of Joker didn't kill
Which,
his
by the
parents
way,
in the
yes,
comics, yeah.
right, and we've gotten the Flashpoint paradox, of course, with Thomas Wayne becoming Batman, but we have never gotten a parallel universe, I don't believe, where Batman didn't become Batman, because who the hell would want to read that or see that?
Right.
Actually,
He just
yeah.
becomes the boring Bruce Wayne as a Playboy. I don't.
Bruce Wayne,
interesting.
#1. Yeah. They'll run out of. Maybe DC will run out of ideas someday.
And going back, I did want to say, it's interesting going back to DC because that's just the way comics were back then. You know, Detective Comics, his first appearance, Superman, Action Comics was his first appearance, Wonder Woman, All-Star Comics, and then eventually Sensation Comics. More funny comics. That's what they were back then. Like, they weren't like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Like, it took a little while to get there, so it's interesting.
Question for
Right.
you, since I, as some of you capers may know, or maybe I'm talking about, I work at Sony Animation. We're doing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse right now.
Oh.
Now, so that's taken from the Spider-Man comics. They have the Spider-Verse with all these alternate reality versions of Spider-Man. They get pretty weird.
Mm-hmm.
Have they ever done anything like that with
Cartoon?
Well, yeah, the movie we're making is a cartoon,
Done
but
what?
Yeah.
has DC ever done anything like alternate universe versions of Batman? Because Marvel's done that with Spider-Man, where you have Spider-Ham and all these weird
I don't
noir
think so.
Spider-Man. All
Nothing
these weird.
comes to mind that
Yeah.
I can think of where they've done.
So they could do.
alternate
That would be an
versions.
opportunity to when he never
I mean,
became.
DC
Batman.
does play with the notion of the multiverse, which they actually do. They do with
They
the
do.
TV shows.
Well,
Right.
there is the one animated movie where we get the Owl, who's
That's
pretty
right.
much
Actually-
who is kind of that
Yes.
version of the Batman.
and in the actual like Justice League Unlimited TV show or Justice League,
They're called the
animated-
Justice Lords,
The Justice
essentially.
Lords.
Yeah.
They do an animated. They do a alternate universe version where Superman and the Justice League take over and they become the Justice Lords.
he does mention
after Superman killing the Joker.
the Owl character
I mean,
does at
Lex
one
Luthor.
point mention in the animated TV show version, and I think in the animated movie as well. I think there was a movie one also, but he does mention like there's one Batman where you're this and one where we're that when he's like kind of
Yeah.
monologuing to him before he dies at the end.
So yeah, and
But-
Injustice too.
yeah.
In Injustice, Superman kills the Joker, and it kind
Yep.
of like turns into where they're fighting each other.
But I think you're right. In the Spider-Verse, like, there's no version of Peter Parker where, like, he never got bit by the spider. He's just normal Peter Parker. So
Right.
that would be boring. So why would they do that with Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne? So we just had the Joker fall to his presumed death.
And he didn't fall in The Dark Knight.
That's right.
He did not.
Well, because I think, I think Christopher Nolan was maybe going to bring him back as in Arkham Asylum, and obviously...
I just have to point out, he just used the grappling gun thing. Like, where was that when he was walking up the stairs? I mean, come on, man.
You gotta save it.
It's like that scene in iRobot where he's like, you have 3,795 more stairs until you get to the top. Remember that part?
No, I don't.
Yes, I do.
All right.
But I think,
sorry, what were you saying about the Joker? Yeah.
The initial plan, I think they wanted to bring Jack Nicholson back for one of the sequels, maybe a flashback or Bruce has a vision or something.
For one of these
to bring him back, but that never ended up materializing.
Oh, well, I'm still so sad that Heath Ledger passed away because I'm pretty sure he was coming back for the next one, I think.
I'm pretty sure he came back in some aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Scarecrow did.
Oh, that's right. Well, maybe that's what it would have been because I told you there was a
a
homage to an early animated series where the Joker is a judge for like a homage.
Homage.
It was a homage.
Homage. But so I guess they put the Scarecrow in for that role instead of what would have been the Joker because Heath Ledger.
Which is still cool because that was like a throwback to like 2 movies previous,
Yeah.
Well, just think about how different that third one would have been if Heath was still alive.
I mean, it depends how integral I think they would have made him.
I think that adds to the mystique of the character. You don't know his backstory, and then you don't know what happened to him either. You know what I mean? Like in that the course of that trilogy, it's like it's more mysterious on both ends.
In that movie, there really wouldn't have made any sense for him to have a big role. I mean, he doesn't play a part with Bane in that.
Well,
movie.
but
maybe that
they didn't write that movie until after he died. So.
Yeah, no, right. Maybe they could have written
it. We would have seen something great. Maybe Nolan would have jumped to the Killing Joker. You know what I mean?
I doubt.
That's possible. I think he would have probably made Joker something smaller and still went with a bigger, just a different storyline,
different
like
scope,
this one. The one.
I love that it's all contained in his role is just contained in one movie, won an Oscar. It's like so iconic. It's perfect. It's perfect. The way his death was good, or anything, but I mean like the way it all ended up. They made the best they could and. Of the situation it worked out.
Yeah.
So you guys are
legacy.
Right. Now we get it. Now we finally get the moment where we know Lieutenant Gordon is coming into a little bit more of a connection or relationship.
Got the iconic bat signal right there.
Yep.
It's great.
Which people thought was like looking into a mouth at first. They were like thinking about like trying to design this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's all they needed to promote this movie. All the early posters and stuff. Just that symbol.
Can you imagine? You were talking about this earlier, Chad. It was like there was no internet, there was no YouTube. Like people would be calling the movie theaters to figure out what time the Batman trailer was going to play, and they would purchase tickets just to go see that trailer.
Right?
Like, can you imagine?
You hear about that for certain big movies like Phantom Menace or something. People just go see them. Pay for the ticket and
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first screening, I thought the first screening of the trailer was. I think that the fans were demanding a trailer, so the first trailer that ever came out was in Westwood, I think. Mm-hmm. Played in a theater out there.
Teaser, yeah.
Yeah.
And you said pre-internet, when people protested Michael Keaton's casting, I think they actually sent you had to send like 50,000 letters to Warner Brothers. Mailroom was probably a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Are we about to see Batman like on the top of a building? Because if we are, is that what happens here?
Of course.
I mean, it seems like it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of and that's how the opening to the Batman animated series kind of leads.
There we go.
Right.
Yep. Epic ending shot.
So
I just feel like
they really did take from this for the Batman animated series.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome ending. The music swelled. That was incredible. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Now we're in the credits.
Co-starring Tracy Walter
epic,
for
man.
Bob the Goon.
All right, so Capers, this was fun. We finished the movie and now we're into the credits. If you can't tell, and we're Bob Kane,
project consultant,
production coordinator,
production coordinator, PC project. He has to work his
It's-
way up in the film business.
Inside
He's new to it,
joke, people. Inside joke.
You got to pay your dues. Get the coffee. Yeah.
Our beloved Film School Dropout is going to shoot. You're working on 2 projects right now?
I am working on 2 shows right now.
He sounds
they're all
so
television,
enthusiastic.
They're all television. Not film,
we don't
television.
talk about that too often, but we all actually work in the entertainment industry. And why don't we just for fun go down the line and tell everyone what we do? So you want to go first?
Yeah, well, I'm an editor. I'm currently working on this talk show right now, and I'm working on a new show called 20 Something that just recently released on YouTube. So yeah, it's a fun show. Look up 20 Something on YouTube.
Cool.
Awesomeness TV.
Awesome.
Nice. I know that name. Yeah. What about you,
Nice.
Martin?
what pays the bills is I work in marketing for an agency that works with one of our top studios here in Los Angeles. And then what I do for the creative side is production in terms of podcasts. This is our first podcast ever, and short films, currently writing and working on some things. So this end of the year, we're laughing at Prince's.
Prince's lyrics come up on the subtitles on the movie, which was hilarious. It said Prince, and then like the lyrics.
Rather gouging to my mind.
Sorry. It was just
Sorry.
I will say, go listen to the Prince soundtrack. This movie after it.
Please do. Yeah, so
Please
production and all
sorry,
the creative stuff you can think of here in Los Angeles. That's me.
Nice.
Cool. Oh, I mentioned it earlier, but I work at Sony Pictures Animation, and I did work for the overhead production, but now I'm the visual development coordinator on the feature Vivo, which we're doing, which releases in November 2020. It's with original songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda, so it's a musical, and yeah, it'll be cool. So I work with the artists as they're designing the characters and the environments and shaping the movie and everything, so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
And then Ryan, the collector here, I actually work in the brand and licensing department for one of, if not the biggest, unscripted, otherwise known as reality television production companies called Endemol Shine North America. So we do MasterChef, we do Big Brother. Our UK division does Peaky Blinders and Black Mirror, and a bunch of other shows, as well as shows that companies that we essentially have licensed out or freelance, however you want to call it. But we have companies that are through Endemol Shine, through the main group that do a lot of other great shows as well, like Shaws of Sunset and this show on Bravo, which is leaving my mind at the moment. But so we all work in entertainment, and I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Also, Martin has a script for a great short film idea, which I think potentially all of us may potentially work on at some point.
Yeah.
Because we all could. But
Any potential investors out there?
Yeah.
Wow,
Send us some money by way of a check in the mail, because let's do it old school.
And the credits are over already. These old 80s,
Wow, that was
80s
over
credits.
so quick.
Wow, it's like 3 minutes
CG.
of credits.
I thought we had at least another 12 minutes. I was like, guys, we got to add to this.
No, and that's
right.
the credits for Batman.
So what's coming up next? What do we can we give a little hint, or should
We
we?
don't know what's coming up
I
next.
think
No, it's
we
coming
might
next.
still be
Okay.
working on it. You have to wait and see.
Have to
Be
wait and see.
surprised.
It's mystery.
We don't want to promise
Like
anything in case we
Batman.
change the order.
Batman mystery.
All right, Capers, thank you for hanging out with us. Please remember to subscribe, like us, poke us, and
Share us.
share
Comment.
comment,
Talk about us. Promote us.
tag us,
Say something.
something. Whatever else you kids are doing these days. Cape
Snapchat us. I don't even know. Do we have a Snapchat? Anyways.
I don't think we do.
Get that Pinterest on.
Vine 2018
Find
son.
us on LinkedIn. We ain't there yet.
Do we need interns? We can have job postings on LinkedIn.
We should have an intern. Let's
Now
get
you
a
guys
PC
know where
printer.
all of these guys work, except for me.
Peace out, capers.
Papers out.
Oh.